We're an island nation, drawn to the sea that surrounds us. For many, it's a playground. For others, it's where we earn our living. But the sea's unpredictable. It can change in an instant. And when accidents happen, they happen very fast.
On the sea, you have to expect the unexpected. It will just turn around and bite you.
Mayday! Mayday!
There to save our lives is a volunteer army of nearly 5,000 ordinary people.
When the pager goes off, we don't know what the shout is, where it is, how many people are involved. It could be anything.
Where do you feel the pain, Alex?
My back and my leg and my neck.
Stuart, just hold the boat!
I am so thankful that they came.
Things could have turned out to be a lot worse.
I've had people drown in front of me. Before we've got there, that person's gone.
Calm down, you're okay, pal.
Equipped with their own cameras,
My light flashing. Yeah, mine.
the crews give us a unique insight into every call-out as only they see it. Speeding through the roughest weather, searching for people who may only have moments to live.
Go!
For those who risk their lives, it has become a way of life.
The decisions we make on a lifeboat, it can all mean the difference between life or death.
In the southwest of England, the rocky north coast of Cornwall and Devon stretches over 200 miles. Guarding these waters are 13 lifeboat stations that every winter are kept busy by the storms that roll in from the Atlantic.
Never forget, the sea is the boss. You'll never beat it. You can only sort of hope to try and get along with it. But never ever think you're invincible and you'll beat the sea, because you'll always come off second best with it.
The fishing town of Padstow has had a lifeboat since 1826. Some of the crew here have 4 generations of service in their blood.
First was my great-grandfather, Nathaniel England, who was on the crew in the late 1800s and early 1900s. My grandfather was on the crew for a very short while. My dad joined the crew as soon as he was old enough, and he served for 38 years on the crew altogether, and he finished up as coxswain before he retired.
Across the generations, crew members sign up for many different reasons. But when they pull on the yellow wellies, they all face the same risks out at sea.
Good morning, this is the shipping forecast issued by the Met Office on behalf of the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency. Seoul, Lundy, Fastnet, northwest 5 to 7, occasionally gale 8 later in Seoul.
A January day, Storm Henry has just hit the UK. Winds gusting 90 miles an hour are causing widespread devastation. The Coast Guard receive a Mayday call, the highest level of emergency at sea. A large cargo ship, the Verity, has lost engine power. She's adrift just 8 miles offshore with 7 crew on board, and the storm is forcing her towards the dangerous rocky coast of North Devon.
We had her updated position from the Coast Guard, and we knew that she was drifting at 2 knots. And at 4 hours, she could well be ashore at Hartland Point. So, you know, we might be nearly 2 hours to get there. Your margins are getting very narrow.
For the fastest response possible, the 2 closest stations, Padstow and Appledore, both launched their Tamar-class all-weather lifeboats.
The sea conditions changed, you know, in an instant. One minute we were in reasonably calm waters, the next minute we were climbing up mountains, it seemed, you know.
The crew from Appledore, the station to the north, are soon hitting the storm head-on.
It was probably blowing maybe an 8, something like that, and there was some pretty big seas with some fairly large swells. Pretty much strong enough to blow you off your feet. I think it's probably the best way to describe it.
Steve, we got about half an hour to run. It's a touch gnarly, eh?
We were actually heading out when the boats were coming in for shelter. So I was thinking, you know, they've got the right idea, we've got the wrong idea. Let's go back, but of course, you can't go back. You got to keep going. And I thought, well, I'm here for the ride now. Someone out there needed our help, so of course we're going to do everything we could to make that happen.
After 2 hours ploughing through the huge seas, both lifeboats arrive on the scene.
Yeah, tell him we'll have a try. Tell him we'll be coming up the Verity starboard side because he's on the port.
And then it dawned on me what kind of a rescue this was. For me, seeing Verity for the first time, I couldn't believe how big she was.
What are we actually going to do to that that's going to affect it?
Without her engines, the 90-metre, 2,600-ton Verity is completely at the mercy of the sea.
She'd moved all the way through the night. She was progressively going up the coast.
She acts like a big sail on the sea. She turns sort of broadside to the wind and then just gets blown along.
The Verity and her crew have now drifted to within 6 miles of the North Devon coast.
A vessel of that size would have fuel tanks carrying tens of thousands of litres of fuel. It would be an environmental disaster.
The only way to stop the Verity drifting onto the rocky shore is to tow her out of danger. But even getting a tow line attached is a risky manoeuvre.
You know, the rise and fall of a boat that size and our stern trying to throw a heaving line, the potential there for collision is huge.
You can get literally sucked in towards a bigger vessel and there's not much you can do about it.
The Padstow crew managed to get a line attached on the first attempt. Now they try to turn the Verity into the wind and tow her out of danger. But the cargo-laden ship weighs over 200 times the small 32-ton Tamar-class lifeboat.
The biggest danger, no matter what the tow is the rope is under tension, and if it was to part, then it can spring back.
You don't put your fingers near it, you don't get your legs near it. You try and be even more safer than you'd normally be because of the circumstances, to be honest.
The Tamar's twin 1,000-horsepower engines are just managing to hold the Verity. But the lifeboat and its equipment are being pushed to their absolute limits.
Yeah, the tow rope was starting to melt around the post through friction. Put the fire hydrant on to keep it cool, and then we pull in so much because obviously we let that bit burn and then pull in a bit.
They've established the tow and they're not making any headway whatsoever.
To the Padstow crew's dismay, under the extreme pressure, the tow line snaps. With every minute that passes, the Verity drifts closer to the rocky shoreline of Heartland Point.
Get her out the wind, yeah? Yeah, just turn around. If we can get her to go north, it'll make it so easier for us, sure.
After 7 hours at sea, in a last-ditch attempt to save the ship, the two lifeboat coxswains come up with a radical idea. Both boats will tow the Verity, in the hope it will be enough to stop her drift.
Appledore would tow Padstow, and Padstow would tow up the Verity, so both Padstow and Appledore lifeboats will have the same power and join the power together enough to pull Verity out of danger.
Like a conga line of towing.
Both lines are attached in the increasing swell.
The boat was up and down, up and down. We were like getting thrown across the deck that morning.
When you were stood up, there was no way that you could keep your balance and handle the ropes and stuff that you needed to do. So it was very much a case of getting down on all fours and really holding on quite tight, to be honest.
We didn't know if it was going to work, but we had to do something. We couldn't just sit there.
Slowly, the Verity starts to turn.
So we got our bow towards the wind rather than the side of the vessel. So it stopped her drifting at quite a significant rate.
think we were all pleasantly surprised that the two boats, the two small lifeboats, were able to kind of manoeuvre and pull the Verity round into wind, and also for it to be able to hold station.
The unorthodox towing method seems to have been a success.
Sit tight then, we'll sit tight up here as well.
But against the power of the wind and the waves, the lifeboats are fighting a losing battle.
It's a lot to tow. You know, we have got 2,000 horsepower, but it's a big old boat to try and tow.
Steve, can you get a message to Padstow and just tell her I'm going to try and keep towing her very slow like this?
All the lifeboats can do is slow down the Verity's drift towards the rocks.
It was pretty critical that we found another method of moving this vessel further away from the shore, really.
We were just holding her off until help came, really.
After nearly 12 hours at sea, finally help arrives. In the shape of a Dutch warship.
Dutch naval ship came to save the day.
Quite a nice thing to see that coming in the distance, a big old lump.
For the last 2 hours, the 144-metre frigate De Ruyter has been steaming through the Force 8 gale to offer assistance.
It is the unwritten rule of the sea, is, you know, if you're in a position to help, that you give help. We wouldn't like to think that the skipper of the Verity has got a warship on speed dial.
Can you talk to the ship? Yeah, I'll try to, yeah.
One thing that sort of stuck out, talking to the captain, his voice over the radio was a picture of absolute calmness.
The Verity had been heading to the north coast of Spain, carrying 3,000 tons of scrap metal, when her engines failed and she lost all power.
Oh, that was looking very bad. Things were looking very bad for quite a while. We couldn't get the engine going. Oh no, there was more negatives than positives. And the way the weather was, no, it didn't look, it was very serious. When we see the lifeboats, it did make us feel a little bit better that we're not out there on our own. Oh, they did more good than they thought they did.
After several attempts, the Dutch warship manages to get a line across to the coaster.
I mean, the sheer size of the tow rope on the warship was just colossal.
A bit like a Russian doll effect, really, isn't it? You know, there's a big Dutch warship, then a 90-metre coaster, then a 16-metre orange lifeboat. You can fit them all in each other, I should think. You just want a dinghy to go with it, you've got a full set. Yeah.
Finally, the Verity is safe. The lifeboat crews have now been at sea for over 14 hours, and the extreme conditions are beginning to take their toll.
How are you feeling, Duncan?
I've got nothing left to give.
Owen, our coxswain, started handing out these little things, and at first I thought, what's Owen handing out? I was hoping it was a bag of sweets, but no, turned out to be sick bags.
I was sick. I think we're all human. I certainly wasn't the only one that night or that day that was a little bit ill.
I don't think we did have any sick bags in the end because some had to catch it in their hand, so it wasn't pleasant. Plus, with the smell and rough seas, it wasn't the best place to be at the time.
The exhausted Padstow crew finally get to head back to their station. The Appledore lifeboat stays with the Dutch warship as it tows the Verity to shelter in the lee of Lundy Island over 12 miles north.
We were just basically acting as an escort in case anything went wrong, anybody went over the side.
The Appledore boat remains with the Verity until a tug arrives to tow it into port for repairs.
So I was just ecstatic because we were moving 3 knots ahead. Every knot we were doing, every 20 minutes we were underway, we were getting further from Outland Point. Then we felt safe.
We were out at sea the best part of 18 hours. Just us on that one trip. The total combined shout was just under 36 hours.
Anyone who says they don't come home tired after 14 hours at sea in a lifeboat's a liar. So, you know, it does take it out of you, to be honest, especially as you get older, it does, yeah.
Never been tested like that before. I suppose we always get tested every call out we get. They're all different for different reasons, and they test us in different ways. That one was particularly challenging because of the sea conditions and the type of call-out it was.
On that shout, I did think a couple of times, what am I doing here? I could be tucked up in bed, in the warm. But, you know, someone's in need, so you just gotta do what you gotta do.
This isn't the worst Atlantic storm the Padstow crew have faced. On the 11th of April 1900, the town's lifeboat was launched into gale-force winds. The trawler Peace and Plenty was in grave danger off the coast. Padstow's open rowing boat, the Arab, was launched to help. The second coxswain was mechanic Mike's great-grandfather.
They were hit by a sea and swamped, and most of the oars were smashed and several of them were washed over the side. They all managed to stay with the boat and were washed ashore on the rock side of the estuary, and they all clambered up the rocks and were safe. The steam lifeboat, the James Stephens, was launched, and she was capsized by a heavy sea, and of the crew, I think was about 12, only 3 survived, the rest were all lost. They were brave men. They would have run from Padstow down to Cove in the clothes they stood up in, put on cork life jackets and rowed out to sea. Those were brave men. That's what you call brave. If you think of it as risking your lives at sea, we do it to help other people who are in trouble. You know, simple as that. You know, if someone's in trouble, a lifeboat crew will come and try and help you.
Over 400 miles away on the exposed coast of eastern Scotland, Anstruther was once the country's herring capital. Today, the town's small fishing fleet still heads out into the unpredictable waters of the North Sea.
It's a beautiful place to live, a beautiful place to stay, but it is on the North Sea, so we do get some quite horrible conditions sometimes.
These days, Anstruther has a population of just 3,600.
As a close-knit community, most people know each other and knows your family, knows your granny, knows your great... everyone knows everyone.
Everyone does know everyone's business, yeah, that's why I try and keep quiet.
George is one of Anstruther's younger volunteers. He joined up when he was just 17.
I've had a pager for 8 years now. I've had one. Well, my pager's definitely the smartest. It's nice and metallic, better looking than everyone else's.
When he's not on a shout, George is on shift at a local aluminium paint factory.
Whenever I get a shout when I'm at work, I kind of get sort of silver round my face, so I get called a tin man quite often when I go out and shouts.
For George, joining the lifeboat crew provided its own lifeline.
I wasn't the best behaved kid. I was quite bad at school. Got kicked out of school a couple of times. I joined Lifeboat right after I left school, straight away, pretty much. Becoming a Lifeboat volunteer has been huge in my life. It's changed my life massively. I don't know where I would be if I hadn't done this. It helps your confidence when you go out and shout, when you go out in the boat. Knowing that you can do that, it does make you more confident in yourself, yeah. Since joining the crew, I've known that I do really like helping folk. It's something that I like to do. I'm proud to be on the boat, yeah, I am proud to be on the boat, yeah.
A bright but breezy September day. The Coast Guard calls out the Anstruther crew. A woman has fallen down a cliff on one of the most dangerous parts of their patch.
The biggest concern would be, I suppose, that it's just falling from quite a height and they can be in quite a bad way sometimes.
George is the first to get into a dry suit.
If you're alright with two, just go on. I'll just go. We can ID you something. Right on.
Both Anstruther's lifeboats are launched.
I'm just going to go with two. Just going to go with two. Right.
Novice helm George is assigned the smaller, more manoeuvrable D-class and hits the water first. The larger Mersey-class all-weather lifeboat follows straight after, carrying extra medical supplies.
Head down. head down for the wind.
The casualty has fallen on the chain walk. Lying nearly 7 miles down the coast from Anstruther, it's made up of steel chains bolted into the cliff face. Using these chains, adventurous walkers can scramble along a steep rocky section of the coastal path.
Chain walk is infamous in that there have been a number of issues in terms of people getting injured.
It's quite challenging. I would say 80% of the call-outs that we have to the chain walk are people that has just been hugely unlucky.
A Coast Guard rescue team and paramedics are also heading to the cliffs. But the D-Class's young crew, George and Harry, will be the first on the scene.
It's ended at the first climb. I think the first climb's here.
Just over 7 minutes after launching, they approach the chain walk. Their first challenge is to locate the casualty amongst the cliffs and rocky ledges.
It was really difficult to try and find them. When you get a description of the chain walk, it's probably 300 metres long, so they can be anywhere in that point. You've just got to try and go in, start at one end and work your way along to the other.
That's it there.
That part of the chain walk is really remote. There's nothing either side of you. The nearest road would probably be, as the crow flies, 3/4 of a mile.
After a brief search, George spots someone in a small rocky cove. But the only way in is a narrow, dangerous channel.
I can get in up there to this rock there. I'm not a big fan of the swell, eh?
The swell seemed to sort of pick up a wee bit. It wasn't very wide and there was a lot of rocks.
I think what I'll do, Harry, is I might have to put you up on this rock here. If you just walk round to it, yeah? There's nowhere that I can really leave the boat here safely. No, fair enough. If I was in that swell, just running around, I'm just worried about the swell running there when we're going if we get caught. Yeah. And then getting out of there, we can't get the boat turned.
I didn't initially plan on going in. Kind of went in, wanted to go in to have a look at it, and then kind of sort of had a chance to go for it, so just went for it then, really.
It's not that bad, I'm going to win. Just jump up front, up top, Harry.
Going in with effectively a following sea with the swell behind them, which tends to lift the stern of the boat up, the back of the boat. By doing that, the bow of the boat goes down the way, and as you're driving it into shallow water, you could end up with the bottom of the front of the boat taking the bottom.
Right, in you go, Harry. Like that.
Making it to the bottom of the cliffs, the crew discover the casualty and her husband, who raised the alarm.
Hi there, my name's George. I don't worry about it. What have you done? Slip coming down.
She said that she'd fallen over and she landed on her elbow. I think she thought she'd dislocated her shoulder.
As the only emergency crew members on the scene, George and Harry administer what first aid they can.
She seemed like she was in a lot of pain. She was complaining a lot about her shoulder, any slight movement at all, and like on her, she was really feeling it in her shoulder.
5 minutes later, the Mersey-class lifeboat arrives. Too large to get in any closer, she can only stand by offshore.
For entry, if you think it's dislocated her arm and it's pumped back in, we put a strap on her arm, we take the weight off it, and we're giving her oxygen right now. And what we'll have to do is we'll have to assess our situation once we get everyone here, and we'll let you know, over.
After walking nearly a mile from the nearest road, the paramedic and Coast Guard team finally arrive on the scene.
There was a lot of agencies there. There was the paramedic, a lot of Coast Guard and Coast Guard officers.
Both states were asking that we think best to get her out.
The casualty is fast succumbing to shock and needs urgent hospital treatment.
Pop out and pop in again.
Novice helm George now faces a big decision. Risk causing further injury and distress by taking her out to the all-weather lifeboat through breaking surf, or scramble a Coast Guard helicopter from Prestwick over 80 miles away on the other side of Scotland to winch her out.
Do you want that or not? I could have got her on the boat and taken her out there, no bother, but the pain that she was in, it would cause her a lot of pain. Any slight movements, she was hurting, so I made the call I would get a helicopter there instead.
The call for getting the helicopter, yeah, it's always a difficult call to make, because using the helicopter resources is probably the most costly. But for George, as a young helmsman, to make that decision, yeah, it was good on him.
Right, hear that noise? Right.
The casualty 66-year-old Alison often hikes along this stretch of the coastal path with her husband. But this was her first attempt at the chain walk.
I was halfway down the chain and my foot gave away. It just went, and I held on to the chain until I dislocated my shoulder. It's this kind of popping noise. It was like really severe pain. Somebody literally kind of like stabbing you in the shoulder, and let go of the chain. I thumped it on my left-hand side onto the rock as I was coming down. And then the pain is automatically, it's just, it was horrible. That was the worst bit. Of course, then you get the shock comes into your system and you start shaking.
I wasn't too surprised that she'd fallen though, because where it was, it's quite a hard bit, part of the chain walk to go.
He introduced me, he says his name is George, and I was like, thank you, George. And he just calmed me down, because I knew that there was somebody out there. I was in the best hands, so I started relaxing.
More paramedics arrive, and with the helicopter inbound, the lifeboat crew retreat a safe distance away.
Cheers,
okay,
Ian.
boys, says thanks to you and your crew.
No problem at all.
Cheers, mate.
Alison is winched out of the cove and taken to a waiting ambulance.
It's a lot of spin.
She's then rushed the 20 miles to hospital in Kirkcaldy.
Yeah, it was definitely nice to see her getting picked up and then taken to the ambulance.
Helicopters are so cool. Look at the windows at his feet.
It was my first big boy shout as a helmsman. I was like glad to have like the experience.
Ah, I love you.
I was so relieved to get actually in the helicopter itself. I got to the hospital and I had x-rays, and that's when I discovered I had fractured my arm in 3 places.
After the shout, I felt pretty good. When we got back to the station, the older boys in the crew, just said well done, and that it was good to have their backing, that I'd made the right choice.
I would say to every single one of these men that helped me, just thank you very much. And I'm just sorry that I caused all this problem.
It really does feel like a job well done. Apart from administering the first aid and being first there, George's decision to ask for a helicopter was undoubtedly, absolutely, in my mind, absolutely the right thing to do. And hats off to him. I'm proud of him.
Around the coastline, every one of the thousands of crew members has their own reasons for joining up.
Before I joined, I could hear the klaxon and the sirens going off when they were getting call-outs. Used to see the boys running past all the time. Got the bug, had to join.
I mainly joined the RNLI because I wanted to be the 3rd generation in my family to be involved, because my granddad did it, my dad did it, and now I do it.
How's that then, all right?
Yeah, it looks good.
The families have been involved for many, many years, from father to son to daughter as well. It's a very special feeling to be allowed to be a part of it.
Since joining the crew, I learned a lot about myself, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm ready.
They've brought me a long way, self-confidence. I feel like I'm a better person helping people.
It's just a rewarding thing, give something back to the community, knowing that you've done good. by going out there, saving someone.
Right, line flat.
I once had the privilege of being the first person to catch the hand of a man who thought he was going to his doom. And I found that a very rewarding experience.
In you come, fella.
You grab someone and you save their lives, and that there's a moment, there's an eye contact between you, there's a connection between you and that person. I have you. And that's my reward, and that's something that's very personal to me, and that's inside. And I suppose in a selfish way, that's what I get back from it. It's very special, it's very unique. Not everybody can get on, put on those yellow willies and go to sea.
In North Devon, the fishing village of Appledore sits at the junction of the Tor and Torridge rivers before they flow into Bideford Bay. There's been a lifeboat station here since 1829. Its crews have been awarded 30 medals for gallantry over the years.
You should have seen it.
Has anybody got tea?
Nowadays, Appledore has an Atlantic inshore lifeboat and a larger Tamar class, which is kept permanently moored in the estuary.
Yeah, come here a minute, look.
Look, there's an enemy in here as well. You see him? Yeah, just there.
Husband and wife team Nick and Sam have over 38 years volunteering between them.
That's the smallest crab ever.
Nick had joined before me. He was on the crew for about 4 or 5 years before I started.
Something like that.
And then about a year after that, we got together.
Sam grew up in the village, and like many other volunteers around the country, she always knew she'd join up.
We used to obviously see the boats going out, hear the Marines going off, and you just knew everybody that was in there. And just the whole spirit of it is amazing. And when you go out and you come back and the whole community just gets together, it's quite a special thing.
Bideford Bay lies where the waters of the Atlantic Ocean meet the fast-flowing tides of the Bristol Channel.
You wouldn't actually know how much the tide does come in, especially on the cliff areas.
Sea levels here can rise up to 8 metres over an unforgiving coastline.
You've got sheer cliffs, jagged rocks, hidden rocks underneath the water, and it definitely keeps you on your toes, yeah.
We can get caught out in it as well, even if we're trying to get somewhere. Oh, sorry, that is actually my pager. Do you mind? Sorry.
An overcast June evening, the Appledore crew are paged. A rising tide has trapped 2 people in a cave 3 miles down the coast. The station's Atlantic inshore lifeboat is launched first.
The tide's coming in and you're stuck in a cave. Depending on how deep or big the cave is, you know, you're gonna have to start getting yourself up out of the water.
En route, the crew learn that the 2 people trapped in the cave are both young teenagers.
Just want to get there as soon as possible. Obviously, with kids, you know that they're going to be more scared. We didn't know how old or if they were hurt. They can get cold, you know, anything can happen, especially when we knew it was over at Westwood Ho in that area.
With caves dotted all along this mile stretch of cliffs, and the tide now rising over 3 feet every hour, the pressure's on for the lifeboat crew to locate the 2 teenagers.
It's really hard to spot people, especially if they've got dark clothing on and then they're on a dark background. You can't hear anything because obviously you've got the sea rolling. It can be really difficult to spot people. We've got a couple of little cosy bits in there they could be in. There. Yeah.
Suddenly, something catches the crew's attention.
We spotted a torch in a little cave, which was brilliant. We would have found them on our search pattern, but it would have taken longer by the time we got to them, I reckon.
Just stay where you two, we've got you! There's no way we're getting in there, not with the rocks.
The crew can see the 2 casualties but can't get to them. In these conditions, it's too risky to get the Atlantic lifeboat any closer to the cave.
They are putting a plan together that they request the casualties.
The main danger was obviously the lack of water and the amount of rocks right in front of the cave, because they were sticking up like fingers. So there was no clear path to get any boat into, really, to start off with.
Get you back out again. Get back out.
It was horrible. You just wanted to get straight in there and get them, but if anything happened to the boat, I mean, that is our saviour at the end of the day. If it got ripped, if we ended up losing the engine, there would be more people that was potentially, you know, sort of like fighting for their lives too.
The cave is not very deep. Got it! Roger out.
We were told when we were on scene that the female was not a swimmer as well. So, yeah, worst case situation, they'd end up in the water and, you know, potentially drown.
It's difficult, isn't it? It's really difficult, isn't it? Because they're going to get in panic now, aren't they?
Yeah, they are already, you can tell.
The news that one of the teenagers can't swim raises the stakes even more.
Just stay where you are for the moment.
A Coast Guard helicopter has been requested, but can't give an estimated arrival time. Appledore's other lifeboat, a Tamar class, which carries a smaller inflatable boat on board, is also en route.
High tide? Never out yet, is it?
Now it's a race against the tide.
Well, by the time we turned up, it was an hour before high water. So in the cave, obviously, like, there was still another hour of flooding tide to come. So, you know, the situation was only ever going to get worse.
Stay in the cave!
You could hear one of the casualties, and it was awful to hear. You could tell that they was, you know, frightened, so scared.
Stay where you are!
I think it's one of the most frustrating things when you're so close to a casualty, and you can't actually go and get them straight away. You can see that they're scared. You just want to get them out and, you know, get them warm and, you know, calm them down.
To make matters worse, large breaking waves are now rolling straight into the small cave.
Keep an eye. Oh, hello.
They were now in the water, essentially. Every time a set of waves came through, casualties were as far back in this small cave as they could be, and they were getting hit by the waves.
That is hitting them now.
Yeah.
Concerned by the increasingly large swell, and with the Tamar lifeboat still 10 minutes away, Nick decides he must risk it and head in.
Hang fast!
Oh, they're going.
Yeah, we're going in, do what we can, or getting as close as we can to do what we need to do.
With the boat anchored, Nick powers backwards through the waves and in towards the cliffs.
If the float fails or the anchor fails, then if you're putting power on the boat, gunning towards rocks, you know, you've got no way of stopping yourself.
The crew must now focus all their efforts on reversing in slowly and steadily to avoid hitting the rocks, while trying not to be distracted by the screams of the teenagers as the cave fills with water.
I think that's pretty much one of the first shouts I've been on where, you know, people are literally screaming at you.
Just keep your eye on them.
Get in.
Yeah, but wait a minute.
Take the body line with you.
Even with the most careful maneuvering, Nick can't get the boat any closer to the cave. To cover the last few meters, crew member Matt is going to have to swim in.
There's no front crawl going on. Basically, you're on your back and you use your arms to kind of scoop yourself and move that way. You can't swim normally.
There's always risks. I mean, because one of the waves could have come in and picked up Matt and chucked him against a rock as well. But obviously, like, that's why we waited until the smaller waves were coming through for him to go in.
I can't imagine standing where they were and being in the water, not being able to swim. I mean, that must be absolutely terrifying.
Matt emerges from the cave carrying the non-swimmer, a teenage girl, first.
The look in her eyes was just amazing. The first thing she said when we pulled her in was thank you. She was so grateful. I've never been so happy to get people in the boat.
Finally, both teenagers are safe. The young couple, Trinity and Dylan, had been at a beach party further up the coast.
We went for a walk across the beach. We got so far and we didn't even realise we'd walked that far. But then we started heading back and we got caught off.
I knew the tide came in really quickly, but I didn't realise that it would come from all the way out to all the way in so quickly. Dylan was stood in front of me with his arms out, taking the whole force of the waves.
The waves literally picked me up and threw me to the other side of the cave several times. And I had to dart back to her before another wave came. And then that wave would probably lift me and throw me again, and it was weird knowing something could move me that easily. That was the hardest bit for me.
I knew he was really strong, but I didn't realise that he'd be able to basically save my life. The only time that the wave hit me is when it filled up the cave, and it just took me off the ground.
Trinity and Dylan are transferred to the larger boat. They were treated for shock by paramedics waiting on shore.
He's a little hero, to be honest. The quick thinking of the torch, staying where they were, getting as high as they could. Everything he done was perfect, pretty much, and really protective over her.
That was classed as 2 lives saved. Yeah, they'd have been in the water if we hadn't rescued them, or someone else hadn't rescued them. Yeah, 2 lives saved.
It is gratifying knowing that you've helped somebody. At the end of the day, that's all we're here to do, is help people.
It's the most amazing feeling when you actually bring someone in, like that day. I don't know, I feel proud. That's the first thing I said to Nick when I got home. I was like, I'm not just saying it because you're my husband, but I was really proud of you tonight, because he was amazing. He was so calm, so chilled, used his experience. Like, I was very proud of him.
In Anstruther, the lifeboat station runs a regular kids club to help ensure there'll be another generation of volunteers ready to serve their small community.
We're in the heart of the town here in Anstruther, and it's so important to feel that community spirit within you. We do so much in the community, but also we rely on the community so much, and I love that. I soak that up, and that part of it gives me a buzz as well.
1, 2, 3, hurrah!
Right.
A cold and rainy November day. The Anstruther crew are paged. Within 5 minutes, the station's inshore lifeboat is launched.
Aberdeen Coast Guard, this is Anstruther ILB. What's your service, over?
The information we got was a female and child cut off by the tide at the Dreel Burn.
The crew head out of the marina and race to the mouth of the Dreel Burn River, just over 700 metres away in the harbour.
Definitely ups the ante when there's children involved. Then you just got to get along there and help as soon as you can.
Tidal cut-offs pose a serious danger. Around half of the people who drown in British waters every year are fully clothed and may never have intended to get wet. Today is a spring tide, which means the water's flooding in faster than any other day this month, and there's still an hour left till high tide.
The sort of concern I had at the time was, had they been in the water? Were they still in the water? Potentially, you know, sort of drowning. You know, you don't know until we actually get there sometimes what it is.
The crew reach the beach just over a minute after launching, but they can't see the woman, her dogs, or the toddler.
19, a total of 3 persons on board. Around the corner, maybe. Must be, yeah.
I headed towards Castle Street Beach, went sort of up the burn a wee bit, and then as we came round I could just see them on a wee sort of sandy embankment standing there.
Thanks, wife. Is it no?
Aye. To George's surprise, it's a familiar face waiting for them on the beach.
I recognised her almost straight away when I saw her, as it was Jill, yeah. Played rugby with her husband for about 6 years now.
Hi, Joe. Hello. You're quite happy, aren't you?
I was trying to wait it out and it just kept coming up.
Yeah. You were coming to the boat with you, man? You go with Joe. Well, then, up you come. There we go. Up we go.
Retired nurse Jill was babysitting her friend's 2-year-old son, Hamish, when they were caught on the beach by the incoming tide.
Doggies, yeah.
We'd been there for about half an hour, turned to go round back the corner that we'd came, and I realised that I thought the tide was going out, but it wasn't going out at all. It was getting further and further in.
In charge of someone else's young child, Jill didn't feel it was safe enough to scramble to safety across the wet and slippery rocks.
You want to put the life jacket on, Gus?
I sort of weighed up the risks of crossing the rocks and carrying children and carrying dogs, and I just thought, no, it's not worth the risk. I could slip and fall, hit my head, or drop him, you know. And then the next thing I heard the lifeboat siren going, you could hear it from where I was.
Yeah. What are we doing in next, eh?
Once they were on the boat, they were quite happy. Jill was maybe a bit embarrassed that we had to come and get her. I'd probably be embarrassed in that situation, but it could happen to anyone.
Jill, Hamish and the 2 dogs are now safe at the station.
You want to go inside? Just go and see if it's nice and warm.
These are all young guys that I'd known, you know, since childhood, growing up.
Sure we got all washed, nice and warm.
It was funny to see them as, you know, a crew. They did all right, you know. They know what they're doing, so a bit of me was very sort of proud of them.
It's a big boat, eh? It's a big boat.
Hamish is now the biggest lifeboat fan in the world.
It's nice and warm in here.
He thinks it's his boat, so I can see him being one of the boys in future.
Watching over the Bristol Channel is the station of Weston-super-Mare. There's been a lifeboat here since 1889, and for good reason. Every summer brings millions of holidaymakers, determined to enjoy everything that this Somerset resort has to offer.
Classic British seaside town, fish and chips, pubs, little train rides. You've got everything that normally you want in a traditional seaside town.
It was the Victorians who first put Weston on the tourist map in 1867. And the jewel in the crown was Burnbeck Pier, which took day trippers across to Burnbeck Island.
Full-width promenade, all the Victorians walking up and down there in their Sunday best. It was probably a really nice place to be.
For years, this was the only pier in England that connected the mainland to an island. But after the opening of Weston's Grand Pier, Burnbeck Island fell into a slow decline.
So you've got this island which in its heyday was amazing, and there's so much life and activity going there, and then today, now, it's a ruin. It is a ruin now.
The Weston lifeboat was based on Burnbeck Island until 2011. But the crew often find themselves returning to this desolate location. The majority of shouts here are to rescue those who cross the causeway or the Cassie at low tide, unaware that they're putting themselves in mortal danger.
That's one of the most dangerous places in the whole of Weston-super-Mare, is the tide running underneath that pier.
Bristol Channel has the second highest tidal range in the world. We've got a 3 metre change in just an hour.
Nobody checks the tide times. The reality is that once you're cut off on that island, you're there for 12 hours. And I think today, people don't want to wait 12 hours for anything. You know, people want to come back. And so, you know, sometimes people might be a little bit more up for taking a risk when maybe they shouldn't.
The pressure just on your legs alone will sweep you off. 4 to 5 knots coming through there, it's funneled, wants to go in one direction, you're in for a ride.
39-year-old Western crew member Simon has lived locally all his life.
You gonna go and get that one?
He joined the lifeboat crew 6 years ago.
Tut. She hasn't picked up on the noise of the pager, but she wanders around with the pager around the house. And I am waiting for the day where it goes off in her hands.
Simon applied for a volunteer job at the station soon after the death of his mother.
Mum and I talked at great length on what would happen after and sort of how to cope with the bereavement. And just focusing sort of on a direction to go. Having a focus sort of to aim for and possibly sort of give some good back. And that was always the sort of the big belief with my mum, that I would do some good sort of in the community. Mum died in 2011, sort of in December. And quite fitting, 2012, December, I had an email through inviting me back down to the station. So it was almost a year after Mum passed away that the crew opened its doors to me. There's a huge sense of family, there's a huge sense of protection for the crew as well. And they're always there to help. If a crew member loses a loved one, you're always there. There's messages going to each other and they know they've just got to pick the phone up. The support level's fantastic. I see people out and about that have got nobody and they're in a hell of a state. So I'm quite lucky and fortunate that I have Western crew to lean on when needed.
A grey day in March. A man has been spotted crossing over to Burnbeck Island just as the tide is starting to flood.
Tide was coming in, and it was coming in pretty quick that day. So within the hour or so that he'd been on there, the Cassie was already completely covered.
The Coast Guard's been alerted and the Western crew are paged. The tide has come in so fast that the island is soon cut off and the man is now nowhere to be seen.
That day we launched with 4. So we were going to put 2 onto the island and keep 2 guys on the boat so we could search from the sea as well as on the land to make sure we knew we had everybody.
This year alone, the lifeboat crew have been called out to Burnbeck 6 times.
Every second does count. The fear when we go to Burnbeck is that they'll try and make their way across, back across the Cassie.
Things can go from bad to worse really quickly.
Western 08 from Western 06, go ahead, over.
Once safely ashore, the crew face an unusual challenge. The casualty didn't call for help himself and seems rather shy of his rescuers.
Western Lifeboat, number 2, Alpha from Western 06. I believe you heard my comms.
You know when people are cut off by the tide, they'll come and see you of, hi, really sorry, but this person wasn't to be found. So that immediately sort of, oh, right, okay, what could we be going to? A few options run through your mind. One, are they okay? Are they mentally okay? Why aren't they wanting to be found? It's quite hard going underfoot. Slippy rocks, rock pools, slime, seaweed, mud. It's not a lovely sandy beach over there.
Got him! Western Lifeboat number 2, Western Lifeboat Alpha. Just for your information, I found a Cassie over.
I didn't get eyes on immediately. I had a good look around, I couldn't see him, but then Simon shouted across that he'd seen him. I turned to my right, and just as I did, he ducked in behind a rock and decided to hide.
Hello, buddy. There's absolutely zero point trying to hide, my friend. I know you're there. Hello, bud. You right? What's the purpose of being over today?
I'm sorry. I am a tourist.
You're a tourist? Hey, no worries. Don't need to hide from us. You're not going to get home tonight.
I'm not entirely sure why he wanted to hide, to be honest. It's not like we weren't there for anything but good reasons. But it turned out that he thought we were the police, and he was a little bit scared of the repercussions.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. Look, it's one of those things.
He told us he was from Hungary and that he was over here visiting friends, and he decided he wanted to come over and take some photos of the islands because he said it was a beautiful place.
Right, bud. You need to come to here. On there.
If somebody hadn't seen him, then he could have very easily spent the night there. And based on what he had, he wasn't really equipped to stay there overnight.
In the days before this shout, nighttime temperatures in Weston dropped as low as -3 degrees.
It would have been a different story sort of 2-3 hours later when he's cold, hungry, wet. Believe it was raining a bit later on that day, so yeah. He would have tried and taken shelter in a derelict building, which isn't good either. So it could have escalated to something far more serious, and you never know what could have happened.
Don't worry. You're okay, that's the main thing. As long as you're okay.
The guy was really nice. Really thankful. Said thank you numerous times, shook us all by the hand.
He wishes you had his camera going now.
At one point he did say to me, "How much do I owe you?" And we told him that we're a volunteer service and he doesn't owe us a penny.
Is he surprised?
He was incredibly surprised at that.
After a night sheltering off Lundy Island, the crippled coaster Verity was towed to Swansea for repairs. 2 weeks later, her captain Kevin proudly took the ship and her crew back out to sea and completed the journey to Spain.
We come out of Swansea on Valentine's Day, done trials, and off we went, gradually warming her up down to Hartland Point, and had a good look at it as we went past. And then we knew, you know, we don't want to be that close again. If it wasn't for the lifeboats, we'd have gone on the rocks. Probably just smashed the bottom out of her. They saved the day, without a doubt. They got a lot of guts to do what they do. Nah, hell of a gang. Nah, hell of a gang.
They were not very responsive at all. They'd said their goodbyes and they were fully ready to let go and give up.
There's nothing that can prepare you for facing death. You can watch all the movies, you can think you're the hard man, but you still can't prepare yourself for the next one.
Yeah, go ahead.
We're an island nation, drawn to the sea that surrounds us. For many, it's a playground. For others, it's where we earn our living. But the sea's unpredictable. It can change in an instant. And when accidents happen, they happen very fast.
On the sea, you have to expect the unexpected. It will just turn around and bite you.
Mayday! Mayday!
There to save our lives is a volunteer army of nearly 5,000 ordinary people.
When the pager goes off, we don't know what the shout is, where it is, how many people are involved. It could be anything.
Where do you feel the pain, Alex?
My back and my leg and my neck.
Stuart, just hold the boat. I am so thankful that they came.
Things could have turned out to be a lot worse.
I've had people drown in front of me. Before we've got there, that person's gone.
Calm down, you're okay, pal.
Equipped with their own cameras.
My light flashing. Yeah, mine.
The crews give us a unique insight into every call-out as only they see it. Speeding through the roughest weather, searching for people who may only have moments to live.
No.
For those who risk their lives, it has become a way of life.
The decisions we make on a lifeboat can all mean the difference between life or death.
Surrounded by the sea, Britain's industrial, social and cultural identity has a long maritime tradition. On the south coast of England, Brighton, once a small fishing village, is today a bustling seaside city, complete with pier, marina, and since 1979, a band of lifeboat volunteers ready to put to sea in all weathers.
So we do a little bit on throwing lines tonight. If we were throwing this line for a service, the line needs to go down flush, side by side.
We are such a close-knit team at Brighton, it's unreal. All of them are classed as my second family. I wouldn't have it any other way, to be honest.
So just give it a try. This lifeboat station, for me, is my second home, and it probably is for quite a lot of people. We've had couples meet on this station and are actually happily married now. It's actually quite common around the coast, really common.
There's quite a close bond between the crew, I think because we go through some sort of testing situations together.
For crew member Mark, who's been with the Brighton station for 20 years, volunteering is even more of a family affair.
I'm nearly ready to go.
It's there he met his wife, Phoenix, who was a crew member at the time.
The lifeboat's been very sort of integral in our family. Kids have been down to the lifeboat, which is great. Certainly changed my direction in life for the better.
Mark answers the pager's call up to 30 times a year.
I don't worry about Mark when the pager goes off. I know what it's like being part of a crew and the decisions you make together. And the first rule is you don't become a casualty.
A breezy morning in early May. The crew receive a call from the Coast Guard.
The initial information we had was that there was a yacht who'd lost engine power on passage from Portsmouth heading towards Brighton. So at that point, it seemed like quite a routine shout.
All my crew, my responsibility, you're in command of the boat, so you know that if anything does go wrong, the eyes are going to be focused on you. You've got to think of what you think's right at the moment in time for yourself and your crew to all come back in one piece.
Outside the marina, 30-mile-an-hour winds have whipped up a 10-foot swell.
It's well in the limits of the Atlantic 85 lifeboat. I've done shouts in a lot worse, especially in towing.
Just 500 metres from the shore, the stricken yacht has lost engine power. And the wind is blowing it directly towards the beach.
At that point, we realised that we had a bit of a problem developing. The area that we were heading into was potentially dangerous, where the breaking waves kind of get reflected back off the marina wall. We call it the washing machine. There's quite a disturbed bit of sea there.
The only way to save the yacht from being wrecked on the shore is to tow it away from the beach. After sailing through the night, the single crew member on board is exhausted. Helm Dan decides to commit one of his own crew to help.
It was quite tricky getting on board. We had a few attempts at it because there was a sort of a gap opening up between the boats with the waves that we were in.
Fighting the swell, Dan must time his approach perfectly between the 10-foot waves to get Mark aboard safely.
Good and wait behind it, now or never. I sort of bundled unglamorously on board.
Tow line set up ASAP.
Just thought to myself, it's just a normal tow job with throw line to Mark, and it'd be fine. Not knowing that a squally was sort of coming through, which was just a lot more heavy wind. The waves were building, and we were just getting pushed towards the marina and the washing machine very fast.
As the conditions deteriorate, the crew have just a few minutes to get a tow line attached before the yacht is swept onto the shore.
Yeah, mate.
Dan was trying to keep the lifeboat the right way up and approach us on the yacht in an aspect where they could pass the line, which was quite a tricky thing to do.
Riding the swell, Dan must get in close enough to get a line across.
It's very daunting when you see a big yacht with a mast on right up 3 meters in front of you, and you're the little boat down there thinking, I hope this all goes right.
Find it. Breaking way! Large wave, large wave.
The yacht hit the lifeboat on the hull quite hard, which is when I updated the Coast Guard and said to them that we've taken on some damage. I'm not aware that we're sinking or taking on water.
We need to get this line over. We're going to the beach.
Yeah. As they battle to get a tow established, the yacht is now just 20 meters from the shore, every wave pushing it closer.
I think that was the start of when it really sort of turned serious. I was expecting the keel to touch at any time. We can't have had very much water underneath us. One of the main dangers once you're in the surf is that we could be washed off the boat could ground, and at that point there's a possibility that the boat could be washed on top of one of us and crush us. My plan would have been to get us both as far away from that boat as possible.
Go, Delta!
Hold on!
Go, mate!
Hold on! I'm not ready!
Every time the lads went to throw the line on, we'd get knocked by a wave, or the yacht would.
Go, Jay, go!
Got it!
Mark grabbed it, and then as he went to make it off, a big set of 3 waves come through. I just thought straight away either the yacht is going over or people are going to be in the water.
Lost the line.
He's lost the line.
The second wave that comes through and struck him, the yacht went 90 degrees, pretty much side onto the water, which is the wave that actually knocked the line out of Mark's hand. So we totally lost the line.
Breaking wave, breaking wave. Whoa! We gotta get away. We're on the wrong side.
In the 12 minutes the crew have battled to get a line across, they've been pushed just a few meters from the shore. Dan must weigh up the risk to his own crew of another attempt to save the yacht.
I think this could be too late, lads.
What do you want to do, mate? I'm more or less ready.
I knew that he was going to hit the bottom within seconds, and I even said to the boys on the boat, this is our last attempt. I didn't want to risk it anymore. We would have been the next people hitting the bottom.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Dan makes one last approach.
Someone must have been looking down on us, because for 5 to 10 seconds the waves had just stopped and we was able to throw a tow line to him.
I think it was pretty much our last chance, that run-in that they had, so I was very glad to kind of get that on board and get it made off.
Now they've established a tow, the lifeboat must try and drag the 5-ton dead weight of the yacht out of the surf.
We were taking a bit of a pounding at that point.
Ooh.
It did feel pretty relentless. You get one wave after another, and you feel like you're just recovering from one wave, and then you're looking at the next, thinking, oh God.
The wind now, which had gone up to a force 6, and the tide was getting stronger and heavier as well. I've potentially got damage to my own lifeboat, and I wasn't sure on how Mark was on the yacht, because he had taken quite a big hit as well.
Do you require any assistance? We need them, mate.
After 15 minutes trying to fight their way out of danger, the crew call in backup from neighbouring lifeboat station Shoreham, 7 miles away.
We have Shoreham lifeboat coming to your location.
All the Brighton crew can do is try to inch the yacht out of danger until the bigger, more powerful boat based at Shoreham arrives to help.
The yacht that I was on probably weighs about 5 tons, so in the breaking waves that puts massive strain on the line. I could see the strain the line was under. I felt a little bit vulnerable sitting in right in line with it. I had my visor down just in case it did part, because when it does part, it parts with quite a lot of recoil.
Light away! Light away!
Mark's worst fears are realised. The tow line snaps. The crew are back to square one. And even at top speed, the larger Shoreham boat is still several minutes away.
I can only think what the helmsman of the Brighton lifeboat was thinking. He's in a bit of a position, he's towing this yacht, which wasn't the easiest of tows in those conditions, and he's unsure of the condition of his crew member on the yacht. I should think it was a very tough situation to be in.
Our ETA is approximately 5 minutes. We have just come past 3 parts of Brighton here now. This is surface.
Draw the 5 minutes out, Mark! Five minutes out!
I think that the adrenaline was certainly flowing. We'd all taken a bit of a pounding.
Slow ahead, slow ahead.
I probably never wanted another lifeboat to be alongside me so much. I just wanted to get my 2 crew, which we were all battered, including myself. Just drained, exhausted, couldn't believe what happened. The adrenaline was wearing off. I just wanted to get everyone home, including myself. I just wanted to get home by then and just sort of reflect on actually what had happened.
The Brighton crew have been fighting the conditions for nearly an hour by the time Shoreham arrived to take over the tow.
Mark! Let go the line!
As the Shoreham crew establish a new tow, Brighton make their way back to base without Mark.
Sure, you all right, mate? Half mile out. I think Mark's all right.
I was shaking like a leaf by the end of it. I was very scared of what actually just happened, and yeah, I think it was the shock that was hitting as well.
Well done, boys. We're nearly home.
I handed my 2 crew over straight away to the paramedics, wanted to get them checked over, as Dickon was in a lot of pain from his ribs, so he was my main priority first.
One point I thought we wasn't going to be coming home, I've got to be honest with you. To think for the first time, being part of the crew, that maybe as a crew we don't come home or we lose someone, yeah, it hit home a bit.
Gotta take my helmet off.
We saw the yacht coming in, put alongside safely, and Mark made his way into the station where he said the quote was, well, that was a bit sporting, wasn't it? And we all sort of looked at him and smiled. We knew that we were all in a really dangerous position and we might not have been going home that night.
The yacht and the sailor survived unscathed. The Brighton crew escaped with bruises and 1 broken rib between them.
I think we were lucky on this shout that it wasn't worse. You know, I think we were in quite a precarious situation and we got away with it.
Whether it's guarding the sandy beaches of Cornwall, the flats of East Anglia, or the craggy cliffs of the Shetlands, at any time there are over 5,000 yellow-booted volunteers willing to drop everything to save the lives of others. Keeping watch over nearly 2,000 miles of Irish coastline are 42 lifeboat stations. For over 190 years, a lifeboat has protected the waters of Howth, a picturesque coastal community 9 miles from Dublin, on the edge of the city's busy shipping lanes.
Howth is an amazing village. It's only 20 minutes from Dublin, 20 minutes from the airport, but has kept its true roots as a proper little fishing village with a little fishing community. Amazing place, yeah. I couldn't think of a better place to live in the world.
Good quality lobster.
Yeah. For lifeboat volunteer Declan, whose family have lived in Howth for generations, the sea is a way of life.
Our family home is 5 metres from the sea. And we just grew up. My dad took us sailing all the time. You see all the fishermen, you get to know the fishermen, you're going out in their boats for a quick spin. You're just always beside the sea in Howth.
Just a stone's throw from the lifeboat station, Declan is head chef at the family business.
Coming in, chef, 1 scallops, 1 mackerel.
A seafood restaurant he runs with his wife, Sue.
We have our first baby on the way, due on the 5th of July. And we found out it's a boy, so we're both very excited. Looking forward to it. He'll be in Lifeboat Luke. Working on the lifeboat when he's older, and a chef, of course.
Running a busy restaurant alongside lifeboat duty means the rest of the team are used to Declan dropping everything when the pager goes off.
You're on my deck, you're cooking away. It's deck, where's my burger? Oh, he's gone.
What's good being here when the beeper goes off is that I can see where the boat is going, right outside the restaurant. I think it's exciting. I'm proud of him.
A warm but windy July evening. A family have called the Coast Guard from a local beach. A 14-year-old girl out alone in a sailing dinghy is in trouble.
When the pager went off, I was in work. I just went into overdrive, adrenaline in, legged it over to the station. The other 2 were in the boat already, so I just jumped in the boat.
Okay, Dad, when you're ready.
Yeah, I do. And we started heading out of the harbour, trying to get as much information on the casualty as we could.
Update, our rough position will be 53 degrees.
The Howth team pushed their D-class lifeboat to its top speed of 25 knots.
The weather on that particular day was a northwesterly breeze, which in that location was blowing people off the shore. They could be blown away from the land, and where we are, it's quite a long distance until you reach land again. They'd be kind of stopping at Holyhead would be their next port of call.
To make matters worse, the wind could also be blowing the girl towards the busy Dublin shipping lanes.
Those big boats, they take a while to slow down and take a while to change course, so it's not a place that I think anyone would want to find themselves in.
That's the only I can see is off the bow.
Hampered by the glare of the sun, the crew scan the horizon, searching for the girl.
The main worry for me was the time. It was late in the evening and the sun was going down. I know when we were going out, I was thinking, God, I hope we don't have to end up making a search pattern or try to find these people. Hopefully they're where they said they were. It's the last thing you want to be doing is that sort of thing at night. You want to try to use that light as much as possible. I'd definitely rather have the glare on the water than to have the darkness.
As the minutes tick by, concern for the casualty mounts.
The thing about dinghies is they're quite labour intensive. There's a lot of work. It's basically your body weight fighting the sail. So they can be quite tiring, and if they do capsize, you can end up in the water, and if you just don't have the strength or you're too tired maybe to get them back upright, you could have someone in the water that's exhausted, and it turns into a very serious situation then.
1 minute you're just having a lovely sail, and then it's a realisation that without this boat, I'm just a fish that can't really swim.
As the crew search, back on shore, the girl's father is watching powerless as his 14-year-old daughter, Caoimhe, is blown out to sea.
As her dad, looking out of her, I felt very helpless. Apart from calling the lifeguard, there's very little I could do. As a parent, you would go out and do what you can straight away, but you're in a situation where you physically can't get there. And Quiva would have felt very scared out there. You know, it's a big bad sea when you're out. There's a long way to get back in, and of course it's going to be very, very scary.
Is there two yoke? It looks like they're getting cold. You tell us up when we're on scene and give an update shortly. Yeah.
9 minutes after launching, up ahead the crew spot a group of boats a mile offshore.
How you doing? What's the story?
In an attempt to rescue her, Quiva's grandfather and a lifeguard have arrived from the beach. Despite their efforts, all three are now struggling to get to safety.
The first boat had its sail up and it was trying to tow the other two, and unfortunately just with the weight it was just making no headway whatsoever.
Are you warm enough? Are you okay? Okay, I'm gonna come to the windward side of you. If you just keep sailing the course you're going.
The crew now have 3 people that need help getting back to shore, but their main concern is Quiva.
It was quite clear from the off that the young girl was very cold. She was shivering and quite upset. So immediately our priority turned to help her. She stuck out in my mind as being someone that was particularly vulnerable and in trouble and needed help.
One casualty seems a bit cold, possible hypothermic, and very upset. Over.
Now Quiva's safely in the lifeboat. Her grandfather Charles can navigate his own way back to shore.
Well, my first reaction when the lifeboat arrived was one of relief that at least now it wasn't all my responsibility. Quiva was getting colder and less happy. Just wanted to curl up in a ball and get back in her daddy's arms.
We're going to get you in. Is your dad on the beach or where is he? Yeah. Okay, well don't worry. As soon as you're in, you'll be all right. Are you cold? Yeah. Okay. How long have you been out for?
I think once she was in our boat, I think probably the gravity of the situation probably hit her a bit more. Now that the lifeboat's there and all that. So at that stage, she just wanted to see her dad. And that was it. So that was kind of turned into our priority to get her ashore and to her dad.
It's no one's fault, don't worry about it. These things happen.
14-year-old Quiva had been trying out a new dinghy, but a problem with the sail meant that every time she tried to steer for the beach, she capsized.
I was very anxious because I had no control. I couldn't control what my boat was doing. The wind started to change. I couldn't control the wind. I couldn't control the boat's capsizing. I couldn't control anything. I was very scared, and I kind of thought, "Oh my God, is this my fault?"
Just throw it on your head there, right?
By the third time I capsized, I couldn't get it back up because my arms kind of felt like jelly. You know, once you lift a boat up a couple times, you're exhausted. I was pretty petrified for a while.
Yeah, we're gonna go sailing again. Yeah. So that's a spirit. Yeah, that's it. You're a yachty, you'll live.
The sea can be a very scary place, particularly for a young girl. Somebody that's trying to learn sailing and learn everything. If the weather isn't what you thought it was going to be, or you've set yourself up for a particular scenario and then all of a sudden it changes, it can be a very, very daunting experience. And if you're not ready for it, it can certainly catch you out and be very, very dangerous.
Everything's going to be okay. Don't worry about it, all right?
Biggest place in the world when it goes wrong. Everything seems so far away. It's quite scary.
Will you do me a favour? You wrap this around you?
Nobody is immune to getting into difficulty at sea. Some of the most experienced sailors that I know have all been rescued, and I suppose it's if you spend that much time at sea, you do get caught out.
What's your dad's name? Ed. Okay.
I know it was a traumatic experience for the family, particularly for Quiva, who was at the centre of it, and for her father, who was alone on the shore while all this was happening.
Go home, get some nice hot chocolate, and everything will be fine.
And it's just given us an extra sense that we need to prepare well for events and to be ready to call for help whenever it's necessary.
Thank you. See, your granddad's here now, it's all right. You all right?
Without the added strain of towing a second dinghy, Quiva's grandfather Charles also makes it safely back to shore.
We're going to get an ambulance down. Sure. So, yeah, it's on the way. Just make sure she's all right, because I don't want to make it be cold or anything.
If they hadn't called us, I don't think they would have made it back to the beach, and we could have been dealing with a family who had possibly lost their granddad and a daughter.
After putting her family through 2 hours of worry, Quiva is finally reunited with her father.
It was a relief. because I really wanted to see my dad after so long, because I was scared and I was cold and I didn't know what was wrong. But it was an experience that made me upset. You know, I didn't have one of my parents with me. So yeah, I wanted my dad.
She was a little shaken and a little teary, but it was great, you know. She was able to walk to us and give her a hug, and she was happy.
You did really, really well. You did what you were supposed to do, right? What you tried to do. You relaxed.
You could see in his face how relieved he was that his daughter was back, and you could tell from her demeanour that she was relieved to be in her dad's arms. Very nice feeling, very rewarding.
For the lifeboat crews, saving loved ones from the sea often means leaving their own family behind.
I do feel a bit more scared, I guess, because you think, oh, it's not just me he's leaving behind at the house, it's Lottie as well, and it's her dad running away and going to save someone else.
There we go.
If you get worried every single time that pager goes off, it'd be an absolute nightmare. I'd be like, that's it, you're not doing this anymore.
When that pager goes off, at the end of the day, it's having trust in all your crew and your helms. So I know that if she goes out without me, you know, I know she's going to come back safely.
1, 2, 3. Oh, big jump.
Everyone says it must be weird being husband and wife on the crew, but we don't see it like that when we're on the boat. That we are literally crew, and that's what we're there to do. What happens at home stays at home, kind of thing.
There's a crab!
In Redcar, North Yorkshire, there's a family that have been saving lives here for generations.
The Picknets go back to living in Redcar from the early 1700s, when it was a very small fishing village. We're just the next generation really carrying on with something that's gone on for now almost 300 years.
Mike is passing on the legacy to his son, Luke, who joined the Redcar crew 5 years ago.
So there's Cecil, that was Tommy's uncle. It's not something that you can force somebody to do, that they either want to be part of the lifeboat or they choose not to be. Very, very proud that Luke has wanted to be part of the RLI and is.
I'm proud of the family history, and I think carrying it on is the right thing to do.
There's been a lifeboat station here since 1802. The original lifeboat, the Zetland, still lives in the old station. Its coxswain was Thomas Hood Picknett, Mike's great-great-uncle.
The Zetland is the oldest surviving lifeboat in the world, and she's still in one piece, she's still intact, and you know, you can still come and imagine what it would have been like to try and get to sea in bad weather and rescue people in this exact vessel. And so you can only be in awe when you look at it as to, you know, the things that it achieved. It saved over 500 lives.
A June day, the Coast Guard have called out the Redcar crew. Someone is trapped on a remote beach between steep cliffs and a fast-rising tide. Both of the station's inshore lifeboats are launched.
So the call had come in before high water, so we knew the tide was going to come in further. And as you looked at the tide, you realised it was one of the larger tides of the year. So the person who's in danger at this time had the misfortune to be trapped at the bottom of some of the biggest cliffs in the country at one of the highest tides of the year.
The faster Atlantic 85 boat is launched first to get to the casualty as quickly as possible.
These types of shouts are very time critical. You realise that every second counts at this point. The biggest worry is you're going to get there and find a drowned person.
An incoming tide can overwhelm the shoreline in minutes, leaving people trapped on slivers of land at the bottom of cliffs.
She's wearing blue shoes, black pants, and a blue jumper.
Where is she? The crew fear the woman may try to get to safety on her own.
Once the tide's in, then the swim would probably be around 150, 200 metres before they can get back onto the beach where they can then walk to safety. Cold sea, fully clothed, already under a little bit of duress because of the situation they're in. That's not something we want to recommend.
Anyone got visual yet or not?
Racing the fastest rising tide of the year, the crew must get to the woman before the sea does.
Quite often we find people, particularly in June, July, are caught out by just how cold the sea temperatures are at that time. If you're not used to the cold water shock can act within seconds of entering cold water. So if you've entered the water unexpectedly and you try and swim at that point, your body's just not capable of swimming, your muscle control goes, and if you're not, you're unfortunate, you gasp in water and you will drown at that point.
24 minutes after the call, the crew arrive at Saltburn. Just a thin strip of dry land remains. Backed up against the base of the cliffs, they spot a figure.
Where the casualty was, there is no way out, so she did the right thing, summoning help by a mobile phone.
To be honest, Cam, I can't say much.
The crew need to find out if the casualty is okay, but submerged rocks mean they can't get the boat any closer to shore, and the smaller, more manoeuvrable D-class is still en route.
So the decision was made to swim in, and that was important. We needed to check on the casualty's condition.
Do you want me to go with him at all? No, you sit there. It's in the water. Keep going.
The swim ashore, it's quite cumbersome equipment. We're not the most elegant swimmers when we're in our life jacket, helmet and dry suit. When I got to the casualty, it was clear she was very distressed at this point. I sat down next to her and started reassuring her and talking to her. And I found out her name was Abigail. She clearly realised that she had been in a position of quite considerable danger. The tide was coming in. She didn't know how far the tide was going to come in. Looking behind her, she would have seen cliffs that towered above her, and she had been convinced that this is how she was going to die.
Yes.
They may have found her, but with the tide still rising, the casualty isn't out of danger yet. Now on the scene, the more manoeuvrable D-class is sent in to evacuate her to safety.
How is Flower? You're all right. Stop panicking. Just step onto there. Come on. You're all right. Go on. Your dad's at Saltburn.
21-year-old Abigail moved to Redcar from her native New Zealand 2 years ago. She had been out running when she realised the incoming tide had trapped her.
When I realised what was actually happening, a lot of emotions went through me. First of all, I panicked. The water was coming at me and I couldn't really do anything about it. So I just thought to myself, like, gosh, like, is this it? Am I gonna die? Like, it was really scary. I was thinking about my family and how they'd feel about you being in that situation. So that's definitely something that went through my head, but I was kind of stood there thinking, I need to, like, help myself. I need to get out of this situation.
How are you, Abigail? Right, see you in a bit, chaps. Right.
If we hadn't have turned up, 2 or 3 hours later, she might not have been there. She'd have been in the water. And once she's in the water, that would have been a chip's like.
I don't really like to think about what could have happened, but I definitely am lucky because it could have turned out a lot worse than it did. So just thank God and thank them for saving me. My dad was waiting for me, and I remember being so confused because when I ran up to my dad, he had a towel around him. I didn't understand why his clothes were wet. My dad had seen me on the rocks and he had literally ran towards the beach and got into the sea and, like, tried to swim out to where I was on the rocks, which was, like, crazy.
I don't think there's any father wouldn't put themselves in danger to protect their children. Our advice, of course, would always be that calling for help, through the Coast Guard and getting professional help there to do that is the actions that you should take. But if it was my daughter and I thought she was in danger, then you would do whatever you needed to do to save your children, wouldn't you?
Much like Redcar in the north, on the west coast, Weston-super-Mare is a town that prospered from the Victorians' love of the seaside. The pier and the Golden Sands still attract thousands of visitors a year, all kept safe by a 17-strong lifeboat crew.
Right, would you like to get on the boat? Yes, please.
Paul Sargent has volunteered for the Western crew for 5 years and has been balancing dad duties with daughter Addison for almost as long.
Where are we going?
Paxton Park.
Paxton Park? How about we go out there? To the big island?
Okay, we're going.
Most challenging would probably be leaving the family, especially late at night, or if you're in the middle of something with the whole family. You've got to say goodbye and you've got to just get your game face on and go and do what you need to. So when the pager goes off, she normally comes running in.
And then I stay with Mummy, so...
Yeah, you stay with Mummy and Daddy goes. And I always come back, don't I?
And you give me kisses and cuddles.
You always got to give you kisses and cuddles, haven't we? Every time.
Across the bay from the station is one of the most dangerous parts of their patch. Brean Down is an imposing set of sandstone cliffs that in places tower almost 100 metres above the sea.
Brean Down is a large landmass that sticks out from the edge of the mainland. It's high, it's long, it used to have old sentry point on the end.
There's no guardrails on Brean Down. You can walk right up to the edge. It's a long way down.
A warm April day brings walkers out along the coastal paths. One has fallen down the cliffs on the south side of Brean Down.
Normally, if we hear south side, never is the best thing to be hearing, because you just know of the distance be falling, and you just hope that he is alive or she's alive.
An update comes in from the Coast Guard. The faller is a Labrador.
When we hear about dogs in trouble, the concern really is whether or not the owners are going to go and try and get to the dog, especially on Brean Down. It's very rocky. So the worry is that they're not really thinking about their own safety.
We just don't want the owners to go in to the water, climb down cliff faces, because we don't want to have one person and an animal in trouble. We want just to make sure we can get the animal and give it back to the owner safely.
It's a race to get to the dog before the owners try to rescue him themselves.
Luckily, a Labrador kind of stands out on a rocky outcrop of rocks, so it is quite easy to spot when you come round to the right area.
There it is.
On top of the cliff, 30 feet above, the dog's owners wait helplessly.
We come in and the dog just literally turned his head. As soon as you see that, there's a bit of relief of, right, he is alive. After heading in, I decided to send both of my crew members, just knowing that a Labrador is a big dog.
It's quite high up, so just thinking to ourselves, well, you know, how are we going to get to this dog? It was really rocky, really, really rocky.
Hey, Woody. Dogs are not predictable. We've done a few jobs now with dogs, and they could run off the minute you get to them, or they could just sit there and want to be petted and loved. You really don't know what you're going to get with a dog. Hello. Right, okay. The dog was incredibly wet, so it looked like he'd had a pretty miraculous escape and landed in the water instead of landing on the rocks first. So he was pretty lucky. Seems okay at the moment. No, there is some blood. Yeah, his paw looks like he's broken a claw.
You do look up and you think, how have you survived that? I think being a big Labrador, you must have just rolled and bounced off things and was a very lucky animal to come down safely.
The dog, Woody, survived a 30-foot fall into the sea before hauling himself out onto the ledge.
Other than that, looks like he's okay. He's cold and he's shivery, but other than that, no, he's okay.
Now all the crew must do is get him back to his worried owners.
Myself and Dave had both been to a few shouts with dogs, and it was talked about that we were becoming the dog whisperers, because it always seemed to be me and Dave going to the same sort of thing.
Easy now.
The dog was not a slim dog, no. He was quite a big dog. Yeah, very big. Made it difficult for us to get the dog down and then onto the boat.
He's a big boy. Yeah, we got him. Come on, Woody. Come on, Woody.
When he got back to the boat, he didn't want to get in. He was not getting in that boat. He needed a little bit of coaxing.
Come on, Woody. Right.
With Woody safely on board, the crew set a course to reunite him with his family.
We have the dog on board. We are now going to head round to the north sides for us to be able to drop him off here. Look at that. Hello.
He seemed to really enjoy himself on that boat ride back. He didn't want to be in there to start with, but once he was on there, he was more than happy.
The dog is part of the family. It's like a child to your family. And yeah, it's the panic, the worry.
It's okay.
I ended up carrying the dog actually off the boat. He was very keen because he's actually spotted his owners further up on the side. So as soon as he saw the owners, he was ready to go.
The owners were incredibly relieved that not only was the dog safe and well, that he was coming back to them that day. The dog was incredibly lucky. It was a good day for the dog and a good day for us, really.
Of the 5,200 lifeboat crew members nationwide, around 500 are female volunteers. Based at Llanwit Major in South Wales, 18-year-old Elizabeth Hostved paved the way for women in the RNLI, qualifying to be the first trained female crew member in 1969. 140 miles away on the north coast of Wales, Dwynwen Parry has been volunteering for 20 years.
I love the sea, but I have 100% respect for it. You never know what it's going to do. I'm always cautious. I always check the weather. I think we're good friends at the moment.
Dwynwen is one of the helms at Malvern Lifeboat Station on the east coast of Anglesey, where sandy beaches, craggy cliffs and rocky coves keep the crew's two boats busy all year round.
This here is Envis, our inshore lifeboat, and this one is my baby. This boat is, that's why I'm here, I think, kind of attached to it. She will be nearly 10 years old, going out to service soon. I don't cry, I'm harder than that, but I probably will in the corner. Yes, it will be sad, because 10 years is a long time. You do get attached to them.
Men and women can volunteer on inshore lifeboats until the age of 55. After 20 years of bouncing around on the inflatable D-class, Dwynwen's nearing the time to hang up her yellow boots.
Close to retiring, but I'm refusing to retire each year. I don't know why I can't walk away. It's the sea, it's the boats, and it's just being part of this family that we have here as well. And it's knowing that you're actually helping somebody out. So, yeah, I won't be leaving yet. Not for a while.
A sunny May afternoon has drawn families out to the beach. A call from the Coast Guard brings the crew running to the station.
Direct page, which ultimately means it's immediate, it's dangerous, there's life at risk. So with that, I knew that it was kind of serious.
I'll jump on the radio. Find out what's going on there.
In the water 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay.
A young child has been swept out to sea on an inflatable dinghy.
Swam out to the dinghy.
We didn't have an exact location. We were told that it was Dillis Bay, which is a large expanse of water with several different popular beaches.
Do you want to get the big boat ready just in case?
Dinghies we would call our bread and butter. It's what we do kind of day in, day out. It's our most popular type of rescue. As soon as the kids get in the dinghies and get within a few hundred metres offshore, they lose the protection of the land and the wind catches them and just takes them straight offshore.
Ready when you are.
When you hear that it's kids in the water, you notch up, not just a gear, you notch up a couple of gears. Your senses are heightened. And especially having children of my own, it now adds to that pressure and that priority of getting there quickly.
At the helm, Dwynwen pushes the D-class to its top speed of 25 knots. The crew still don't have an exact location and have nearly 3 kilometres of coastline to search.
I only guessed you slipped right. But if it's on his California, I guess it's there where those hurts are.
It's time critical for us because the water's that cold. At that time of year, the water's maybe 11, 12 degrees. So when you enter the water, you initially take a big gasp where the body goes into shock, being exposed to such cold temperatures. You've got the potential then to inhale water, to take a mouthful, which then creates a reaction of its own. You start to panic.
I can't see anything ahead. There's a dinghy or something to the left there.
There's a guy on the rock there.
As they scour the beaches along the coast, there's still no sign of anyone in trouble.
It's got to be that one.
I can't see no one here.
There's nobody here.
You're trying to guess where they are just by the information they give you over the radio.
While the crew search, from the beach, a family friend of the boy watches as his wife and friends swim after the dinghy being pulled out to sea.
I think the thing that struck me the most was that this, in my mind, was the safest beach in the world. It was shallow, there was very little wind, the waves were just small and lapping, but yet there's this dinghy just got pulled out, and I could not understand how it happened. It just watched it sort of move away from me, and it didn't make any sense. I was utterly helpless because I could see something unfolding in front of me, but I had no ability to influence the outcome. I thought I was going to lose my wife. I had those thoughts. Yeah, and I was thinking, how am I going to cope without her? You know, in a very brief moment of time, you go through this whole scenario of life without your wife.
Probably a Coast Guard mobile, but that's all received. Can you try and ascertain as to exactly which beach they're on, which beach they have recovered to, over?
14 minutes after launching, the crew are still searching.
When we got closer, we actually passed the beach that it happened, going towards the estuary, and then we spotted them by the beach.
Yeah, it's going to be make it already. You all right holding the boat, Goose, yeah? Oh, yeah.
By the time the crew arrive on the beach, the 2 women who swam out have rescued the boy and managed to get back to shore.
The first thing was getting the story straight. Who'd been in the water, who needed our help.
How are you doing?
It's cold.
Extremely cold.
I feel a bit sick.
Feel a bit sick. What's your name?
Carolyn.
Carolyn. I'm Vince. Carolyn.
The boy is safe. The crew's concerns now turn to his 2 rescuers.
It was clear that the 2 ladies were our priorities.
Apart from feeling cold, do you feel well? Any chest pains?
No.
Nothing at all, you sure?
Yeah, that's good.
Just extremely cold.
With anybody that's been in the water that have made it back to shore themselves, they're not in the clear, they're not safe. First of all is hypothermia, the effects on the body following the cold water immersion.
Okay, you just try and keep your breathing nice and steady for me. You're breathing a little bit too fast for my liking.
It was quite clear that these ladies were extremely cold.
Okay, and how are you feeling?
just weird and freezing.
Just weird and freezing. Well, what we're going to do now, I'm going to get some blankets from the boat. We'll get you wrapped up, try and get you warm.
As I assessed the second person and Dwin was helping me, I realised quite quickly that they were on the border of being hypothermic.
You tell me if you start to feel faint or dizzy at all, OK?
Oh, yeah, faint, that's all right.
You're feeling faint?
Couldn't stand up or walk.
OK.
There's some severe shakes going.
Yeah. Just,
Can I have a look at me?
We see many casualties that suffer from cold water shock, but I will say that I've never experienced anybody suffer and shake as much as that lady did that day.
What's your name again?
Carolyn and Debbie. Check a cap refill again for me, Dwin.
The effect of somebody warming a hypothermic casualty up too quickly can lead to low blood pressure, but ultimately you've got the potential to cause heart attack or cardiac arrest, purely because the body just can't cope with the thermal shock or the thermal changes within the body.
Anybody who doesn't need to be around, can we just move people away? Because what we're going to have to do is just try and get rid of your wet layers, I think, and just try and get you wrapped up in as best we can.
I put my dry clothes on.
You have put your... Right, that's fine. And you've still got saturated jeans, haven't you?
Yeah.
And they're nice and cold. I think you've got the energy to be able to undo your pants at the top and pull them down.
Yeah.
Or if you're not that particular, we can cut them.
Oh, no.
I thought you'd react a bit more positively if I said that. Right, you keep your feet up for me while I pull it to the end of the bag.
The crew add insulating layers to slowly bring up the women's temperature.
You feeling okay at the moment, Carolyn? Yeah.
Carolyn and her friend Debbie were spending a day on the beach with their kids and looking after a friend's son when they noticed the inflatable boat the children were playing on was being blown out to sea.
I'd said to his mum when we were coming down to the beach, "Oh, I'll look after him, you know I will, because I know him so well." And she said, yeah, she trusted me. So I was like, oh my goodness, this is Reuben, I've got to get to him and bring him back. And I just thought, I can just wade in and get them. But the further I waded in, the more the boat kept going out. So it was just like, oh my goodness, what's happening here? So it was quite a scary situation quite quickly, really. There was one point I just thought, I can't do this is just too hard. It was just like, you're cold. And we were really shivering. I've never felt so cold, ever. My fingers went numb, my toes went numb. I was breathing too fast, but I knew that was me trying to warm up, and it just took over. That was a scary thing. Oh, it was just like you've been slapped in the face.
Suddenly stopped shivering.
I know, you've got colour back to your face now.
After 20 minutes of treatment, Carolyn and Debbie's temperature begins to return to normal.
Your cheeks have just gone nice and rosy, which is the desired effect.
With the women out of danger, Dwynwen's thoughts turn to the inflatable dinghy that caused it all.
You know what she said then?
What's that?
It's giving me the right to put a knife to...
Oh, last one before you retire?
I'm retiring, so I'm going for the most dinghies that I can slash this year.
We've been out to numerous rescues that involve dinghies, and it takes seconds for the circumstance to change. You know, you can be sat on the beach, enjoying yourself, having a good time with your family, and not realise that your children in the dinghy that you've got your backs turned to are being blown offshore.
What's my record? 9 in one summer.
Go on then, never mind.
9 times out of 10, I normally put a knife in them. They call me Slasher Parry.
Can you get the truck to there? No.
The fastest way to get the casualties to the Coast Guard vehicles to warm up is a quick trip on the lifeboat.
As well. 1, 2, 3. That's it. If you keep the petticoat up.
When the lifeboat crew saw that we were well enough to be able to walk, we had to step into the sea, and that was just quite shocking.
Okay.
I've forgotten how cold it was.
And you've been swimming in that? Right, come to this left-hand side.
The water was absolutely freezing. I couldn't believe that I'd been swimming in that for 20 minutes, and to just put your feet in it was just ice cold.
It just happens so easy, doesn't it? And natural instinct is to go for a swim and try and do what you can, but...
It totally seemed like the right thing to do. Every part of my body wanted to help. I mean, how do you stay on a shore and watch your friend's child disappear onto the horizon.
I just dived in, so did you, didn't you?
Yeah.
I would never dream of going swimming at this time of year.
No.
I took my bra off though. Did you? I don't know why.
She said she didn't hesitate to jump in the water and swim, but before she did, she took her bra off. Fantastic.
The biggest mistake they perhaps made as adults was to enter the water and swim out to try and rescue their own children without the proper equipment. But was that the wrong thing to do? As a lifeboat crew, yes. As a parent, no. I think any parent would do the same.
With hindsight, I now know from the RNLI that the most sensible thing would have been to leave Reuben waiting for the lifeboat and they would have reached him. But I can't 100% say that I wouldn't do it again. I think my instinct would be exactly the same.
Spoiled, we've got 2 vehicles to put you in. Still chilly, but feeling better.
I would say they were extremely lucky. It could have been worse. The children could have been out further, even 200-300 yards further. Would she have got to them? Probably not.
Thank you, guys. Cheers.
The lifeboat crew saved our lives, no doubt. They may not have saved my life, but they saved my life as a family.
I don't think it'll be the first of the weekend.
Just a month after falling foul of the spring sea temperatures, Carolyn, who swam out to rescue the boy, is back on the beach for the first time since the incident.
I still think about the day. I think about Mofa a lot. I feel really connected to the place and still to the sea, really. I'd let the kids go out in boats again, definitely. But it'd have to be secure and, you know, well trained, and they had life jackets on. And but yeah, no, not another dinghy on the sea.
Across the Irish Sea in Howth, Caoimhe is also determined not to let her experience stop her enjoying the sea.
I went out, I think, a week or 2 later for my July sailing course, so it wasn't too long. I was straight back into the boat.
Can you try and get all those leaves out, Caoimhe? It was good that she did get out very quickly afterwards, and she's still as enthusiastic as she was before, even if not more. It has given a lot more respect for the sea, and you do worry again when she goes out. You don't take anything for granted anymore. You know, you check everything out, double check it before you go out, and it works as a reminder.
My leg is literally hanging off.
My concern with moving him was that he could lose the foot.
To make a decision that affects a casualty is one thing. To make a decision that could potentially affect the safety of your own crew, that's another.
I remember one wave nearly sweeping me out of the back of the boat. It was pretty scary.
We're an island nation, drawn to the sea that surrounds us. For many, it's a playground. For others, it's where we earn our living. But the sea's unpredictable. It can change in an instant. And when accidents happen, they happen very fast.
On the sea, you have to expect the unexpected. It will just turn around and bite you.
There to save our lives is a volunteer army of nearly 5,000 ordinary people.
When the pager goes off, we don't know what the shout is, where it is, how many people are involved. It could be anything.
Where do you feel the pain, Alex?
My back and my leg and my neck.
Stuart, just hold the boat.
I am so thankful that they came.
Things could have turned out to be a lot worse.
I've had people drown in front of me. Before we've got there, that person's gone.
Calm down, you're okay, pal.
Equipped with their own cameras,
My light flashing. That's mine.
the crews give us a unique insight into every call-out as only they see it. Speeding through the roughest weather, searching for people who may only have moments to live. For those who risk their lives, it has become a way of life.
The decisions we make on a lifeboat can all mean the difference between life or death.
Lying at the mouth of the Kingsbridge estuary on the south coast of Devon is Salcombe, a resort town with a proud seafaring history.
There aren't many harbours that you come into that look as beautiful as this place. Its biggest selling factor is sandy beaches and nice clear water. The harbour is made up of recreational, commercial fishermen, commercial water sports, paddle boards, canoes, kayak, everything. You name it, if it floats, it's pretty much been in here.
But by the autumn, the local fishing fleet can often have the sea to themselves. The Salcombe lifeboat crew have received a mayday call, the highest level of emergency at sea. A fishing boat is in distress a mile offshore.
The initial comms were man overboard and that he's been caught under the water. You hear mayday, a man overboard, it sort of pricks your ears up and you're thinking, all this stuff we've trained for, this is where it counts now.
Any delay on a mayday call can mean the difference between life and death. In charge, second coxswain Cameron has a decision to make. Wait for crew member Kirsten, a junior doctor, or launch the lifeboat.
You're sort of like drastically working out, have I got enough crew to go to sea? Can I go now or am I going to wait for the doctor? You know that you're going to need a doctor, but then if you wait longer, you get there and it's too late. The rest of the guys are on the boat looking at you and you're thinking, oh, do I, don't I?
Cameron gambles and decides to wait for the doctor.
When I got to station, first thing I saw was Cam, who was like looking down at the street, and normally he like say hello to me or something friendly to start with, and he just went, get your gear, there's an unconscious fisherman, and I think that's all we knew at that time.
With Kirsten now on board, the crew pushed the Tamar-class lifeboat to its top speed of 25 knots in a race to reach the fishing boat.
Fishing's a very dangerous occupation, so they're used to taking risks. They're very good at looking after themselves, and I think often that's why when something goes wrong, it's gone wrong in a big way.
You're making comms to the Coast Guard, they've given you an update, you know, he's now on deck. They've got him breathing, but he stopped breathing again.
The fisherman has been pulled back on board unconscious. His crewmates are trying to resuscitate him.
Worst case is you arrive and he's not breathing and you can't get him to breathe. We do our best for that not to happen, but you can't control that. It's, you know, time is is always against you when someone's been in the water. "25
minutes after the call came in, the crew spot the fishing boat. Kirsten and fellow volunteer James get aboard to make an immediate assessment of the casualty's condition.
As I got close to him and saw him properly, he was lying on his side and he just looked really sick. He looked grey, he looked washed out.
He was in and out of consciousness. You didn't get a huge amount out of him. He was bringing up seawater. You know when someone's not well, and he wasn't.
Although he's conscious, the fisherman's been underwater, deprived of oxygen for several minutes. He's also suffering serious injuries from being dragged across the deck by the fishing gear that pulled him under.
He was making a lot of effort to breathe. His heart rate was super high. We got some oxygen on him pretty much straight away. He needed equipment that we couldn't give on a lifeboat. Cam had said to me before, like, if you can, let's just walk him over and take him, you know, back into Salcombe. And I remember telling Coops, you need to tell him he's big sick and he needs to be immobilised and we need to get him out of here and quickly.
A Coast Guard helicopter has been scrambled, but it's coming from Newquay over 50 miles away. The crew must now keep the casualties stable until it arrives.
Being underwater for that amount of time, drowning, not breathing, there are top-level sort of bad day things to happen. You're using every resource you possibly can.
Silas, the injured fisherman, was pulled overboard while laying crab pots with his best friend Jack.
We weren't quite family, but you could all but say he was, because I've known him since I was 3. We went to primary school together, we went to secondary school together. We did everything together, pretty much. He had his own little boat and wanted to learn, and I said that you would come on with us and we'll teach you. We were nearly about to go home. Silas let the end weight go. The rope sort of come tight and it appeared to like a trap round his hand. He got tangled up and he hit the deck and he was sliding out the door. And I'm still looking over the rail, froze, and he's looking at me with full eye contact. And the expression and the look in his eyes was, I'm never coming back. And then I watched him go out the door and he just disappeared into the blue. And Silas's Wellington boots popped up to the surface. And I was shouting, he's there, he's there. And then I sort of realised he wasn't there, it was just his Wellingtons. Suddenly, I could see his hand and it come up over and I thought, we've got him. And I was expecting him to start shouting, get me out of the water. That's what I was expecting. But I didn't expect him to be like that, dead, lying in the water upside down. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that at all.
Kirsten and James have been working to keep Silas stable for almost 10 minutes. Finally, the Coast Guard helicopter appears overhead.
When you see the helicopter arrive, it is a relief because you know that they're paramedics and they carry much more equipment than what we do, and they'll be in hospital in half the time as what it would be for us to steam in and get them in an ambulance. You could give them the best chance to survive if they get up in a helicopter.
Although they've stabilised him, the crew need to get Silas urgent medical attention.
He just looked awful by the time they were wanting to winch him up. The winchman looked at him and he was like, we need to get out of here, we need to get out of here quick.
The plan at the time was that the helo was going to drop down their stretcher, we'd transfer him and he'd go up. Sadly, he took a bit of a turn for the worse, and both Kirsten and Reggie, the winchman, life over limb, and it was made clear that an immediate winch was necessary.
Silas is flown 30 miles to Plymouth to be treated for serious neck injuries and the effects of oxygen starvation.
You're on tenterhooks because you know you've done the best you can do, but the level of his injuries were just so severe, he needed to get to a hospital.
All Cameron can do now is wait to find out if his gamble to hold the lifeboat for Kirsten has paid off.
You hope that you made the right decision, you try your best, but until you hear that they're on the mend and that they're doing okay, you still don't, you're not resting on your laurels so much.
On arriving at hospital, the injured fisherman Silas was rushed into emergency surgery. His injuries were so severe, he was placed into an induced coma.
He came round and He just wanted to talk to me. I was ushered in quickly and relieved to hear him speaking and talking to me, even though he was sky high on morphine. It was a relief once I knew he was semi-okay.
I had a fractured neck. Obviously, as I went out the door, I must have fractured it then. It hit a bit of stainless steel and just knocked my vertebrae forwards and fractured my neck. I remember being under the water for a little bit, and then I must have got unconscious, just blacked out.
I think he came as close to dying as you'd ever want to come. You do feel like proud that you've done something that, you know, actually might change the outcome of someone's life.
Well, I'm very grateful for what they did. If it wasn't for them being on the ball, I might not be here. It says on those YOLO t-shirts, you only live once, and my mate went, you need one that says YOLOT. You only live twice.
Making split-second life and death decisions at sea is part of the job for the 5,000 volunteers who guard the waters around the UK and Ireland.
Time is everything, from pager to the boat hitting the water to the scene itself. Each second counts.
Where do you feel the pain, Alex?
My back of my leg and my neck.
Your mind is racing straight away. Is there going to be people in the water? What's the state of the tide? Can I even get to where they are?
Decisions need to be made there and then, on the spot.
Take the stretcher. Give it to me.
And it's your decisions that ultimately result in somebody being rescued or somebody being lost.
Paramedics talk about the golden hour, you know, but I mean, you have an hour because you're on land. But if you're at water and you have a chance of drowning, I mean, you're going to drown in a matter of seconds.
A second can always be the difference between life and death.
In its 143-year history, the crews at Marlborough Station on the Isle of Anglesey have amassed 37 awards for gallantry.
Hello. Hi, Rob.
Hello, Bobby J.
Probably wouldn't call it a team. I'd probably call it more of a family.
Do they do extra large boys?
There's nothing that could break the bond that we've got. It really is a small community, and the Lifeboat Station is the big part of it.
Lying off the rugged northwest coast of Wales, the seas around Anglesey are peppered with rocky outcrops, which have wrecked many a ship over the years. And there's one place on the Marlborough Cruise patch which is more treacherous than most.
Dillis Island is a chunk of rock in the middle of the sea, 2 miles offshore, but it's notorious in the 1800s for shipwrecks. I've been on the island and it's pretty bleak. It's cold, it's exposed, there's no shelter from the wind, so it's not a nice place.
It has a refuge on it that's been there from the 1800s, and its purpose was to give survivors of shipwreck a location to shelter until help would reach them.
33-year-old Martin Jones has been on the crew here for 17 years. He and his wife Kerry have lived on Anglesey all their lives.
Lottie, does Dad go on the boat? Boats, yeah.
18-month-old Lottie is one of the newest additions to the community.
It's having a little one, it's made you look at life a bit more, more sensitive. Makes you think about everything, really, running down to the boat.
There is always that risk that this time they might not come back, but it's what he loves to do, so we all just live with it.
The winter months in Marlborough are some of the most challenging for the lifeboat crews. As temperatures plummet Marlborough Station receives an emergency call from the Coast Guard.
Two overdue kindness. They launched from Liquid.
A worried family member has dialed 999 after 2 kayakers failed to return from a trip out to sea. It's been nearly 4 hours since they set off.
Yeah, good. Is everybody clear to go out there and investigate?
5 minutes after the call, the station's 32-ton Tamar-class lifeboat is launched.
The first information we got at the station was that it was an overdue kayak. We get them quite frequently, where perhaps people have come back to shore and forgotten to call the Coast Guard to say they've arrived back. We thought it would be a quick search of the area, find somebody putting their kit away on the shoreline.
There is one kayak, I repeat, one kayak, which is a double kayak.
An update from the Coast Guard. An upturned kayak has been spotted drifting 1.5 miles out at sea.
2 persons, possibly in water.
It's not thinking about recovery from the water. Yeah. So I don't know how long it's in the water, but we'll try to see what I can keep going. I'll go in if needed, yeah? Thank you.
When you find out that they're not actually with the craft, it changes your train of thought. A cold day in February, the seawater temperature, it's going to be freezing cold. Their chance of survival has reduced massively.
A biting easterly wind has also plunged the air temperature below freezing. In these conditions, hypothermia can take hold within minutes.
Cramp sets in, your body functions are reduced, you can't move your arms, your legs properly, and you literally just become a floating mass that isn't able to help themselves.
Yeah, but just have a think about if we've got to recover somebody from the water, get some blankets out.
We didn't actually know what time or at what point they got into difficulty. Were we looking for people treading water, trying to stay afloat, or were we looking for potentially 2 bodies? We just did not know.
Can we get some beds up there, please, guys?
13-year-old.
We got the information that it was a father and his 13-year-old son, and that was a real kind of game changer for me. Big lump in my throat, felt instantly emotional. I've got a 10-year-old son myself. I'm not the only parent on that boat. And for everybody, it got very, very serious, very, very quickly.
On the morning that Joe and Paul went out kayaking, I just had this foreboding sense of ill feeling at them going. Sadly, I was proved right. I rang the mobile phone. It didn't even ring out, it just went straight onto answer phone. I was trying to make excuses for why I couldn't get hold of them. And then eventually, I couldn't justify making any more excuses. I rang the Coast Guard, and then I made my way to the beach. I was panicking inside.
Yeah, let's get into 140. 140 offline us at 1.5 miles only run. Manager, yeah, okay.
All the crew have to go on is that the upturned kayak was last seen around 4 nautical miles up the coast from Marlborough, just north of Dillis Island.
I was in the wheelhouse taking information over the radio. Josh, one of our junior crew members, I could hear him shouting at the top, "I've seen somebody."
I'd looked, and then I looked away, and then I looked back again, but something it just caught my eye that without the binoculars that there was somebody on the island.
1, 2, 3.
The fastest way to get to the island is with the small Y-class boat. As Martin and Josh approach, 2 figures appear.
Bear with me. Watch yourself.
Get in contact with the bow box.
Okay, yeah, Josh. Right, what's your name, mate? Joe. Joe. I'm Martin, okay? What's your name, mate? Paul. Paul, right. Have you ingested water? Yeah.
Blood swallowed quite a bit, yeah.
You've swallowed quite a bit of water. And we're feeling really cold. Yeah. Right, okay. You got no shoes or nothing, no, mate?
No.
Right.
Came off.
Came off?
So I've got cut feet.
Okay, mate. Follow my footsteps, don't come off the high stuff.
Yeah. Slightly unconscious in the water, he's dragged me out.
Right.
I was falling asleep.
You were falling asleep with?
Kayak.
Right, okay, mate.
Within minutes of talking to him, you could see that they'd both been through something really, really traumatic.
Right. Take your own time, take your time.
Wet, cold and exhausted, the boy and his father have spent over 2 hours exposed to the elements on the island.
It was by far the most severe case of hypothermia I've definitely seen. Yeah, everything. The shakes, the clamminess, the blue lips.
Josh! Ask for the chopper.
We needed to get these casualties off here. I need to get them to professional medical assistance.
I think the plan is to evacuate by helicopter. We're going to get you seen to hospital.
Paul and his son Joe were off the coast of Marlborough when their kayak started taking in water and capsized.
We were about half a mile from Unistillas, so obviously that was closest, so I said, if you straddle the boat, I'll try and kick it towards the island.
After half an hour making no progress, and with hypothermia setting in, they abandoned the kayak and tried to swim to the island instead.
We got in the water, and Joe was quite upset. He said, I think we're going to die. And I was convinced we both were at that point because of the cold. He said, again, I think we are going to die, Dad. But if we die, the last thing I want to do is give you a kiss. So I gave him a kiss and I told him I loved him, and we set off to swim. The waves were breaking on me and I was taking on quite a lot of water, and obviously the sea temperature was what it was, and I'd been in there for quite a long time by now. My arms were starting to fail, and I was on my back, and I remember feeling that this is really warm and really peaceful, and just went to sleep.
He's a paramedic, okay? So he's going to come down and he's going to assess you.
You can swallow on a seawater. If so, a lot. Yeah. Roughly how many full mouthfuls?
I thought I was going to drown.
You thought you were going to drown? What about you, little man? Thought you were going to drown? Yeah, good effort getting your dad, yeah?
He saved my life, definitely.
I saw he was like unconscious, so I jumped back in the sea, swam to him, carried him to that island, then gave him CPR and resuscitated him.
I don't remember how I got from the side of the water up to the tower. I asked Joe how I got there, and he said, I put you on my back and I carried you.
Don't you go to sleep on me, okay?
He was just on my shoulder, so like, because the rocks were about 4 or 5 foot high each one, I'd carry him up one, then I'd just like have a little tiny rest because it's quite tiring. Then I'd just keep on carrying up as many as I could, then we got to shelter.
Without a shadow of a doubt, Joe saved my life that day. When he thought that he was looking at death, the fact that he wanted to do that as a last action, I think, was lovely.
After 2.5 hours on the island, Paul and Joe are flown to hospital in Bangor to be treated for shock and severe hypothermia.
If we hadn't spotted them when we had, then there was still a huge risk to their lives. They were both hypothermic. It was getting later in the afternoon. They would have just got colder, and ultimately, yes, they were still gravely in danger.
It's probably the closest I've seen to life being lost. If Joe hadn't been as strong as he was in doing what he did and swimming back out to his dad, Paul wouldn't be around today.
To learn that the 13-year-old son had actually gone out and rescued his dad, given his father CPR on the shore because he'd lost consciousness and thought that his own dad was dying in front of him. To hear a son ask for one last kiss, one final goodbye from his own dad is just, it's heart-wrenching.
When I saw that they were alive, it was just such a relief. I don't know what would have happened to my family if Joe hadn't have done what he'd done that day. But I do know that he's got the right moral compass, and I'm very proud of him for that.
Most of the UK and Ireland's 238 lifeboat stations lie on the coast. But the busiest is Tower on the River Thames. Annually, over 10 million tourists, commuters and city dwellers use this stretch of water. And the crew at this station deal with over 500 call-outs a year.
5, 4, 3, 2, contact!
The Thames is a very unique body. The footfall we've got in London being the capital city, I mean, people flock there in their thousands on a daily basis. We've got an awful lot of commercial users with a high volume of passengers. We've got a lot of people on the embankments, on the bridges. The river brings so much life and so much to the city, but if you don't respect it, it can take everything away from you as well.
Guarding 15 miles of river, Tower Lifeboat Station floats on a pontoon alongside Waterloo Bridge.
Most of our jobs are people recovered from the water. We've got all the bridges through our patch. People get on top of them, young lads showing off. Some people mean to go in there in the hope of ending it all. It's essential that we get there as quick as we can. If it's a person in the water, every second counts.
Everything about Tower Station is geared to getting on the water in the quickest time possible. It has a full-time crew on continuous duty, and they're equipped with the fastest boat in the fleet, the E-Class. With a top speed of 45 knots, it can reach any point in their patch within 15 minutes.
The Thames itself is equally as dangerous in a lot of senses as the west coast of Scotland in a howling gale, but it's a different type of danger. You've got a river that's trying to flow the passage that it's always flown for thousands and thousands of years, yet man has put in bridges and piers and all sorts of obstructions that change the dynamics of that river.
The reason we have to be there very quickly is because even in the height of summer, the River Thames is very cold. It also has a very deceptive flow rate. It is moving very quickly. At certain places it runs at 6 or 7 knots, which in land terms is around about 10 miles an hour. A great deal faster than you could ever swim.
In January, the water temperature of the Thames can drop as low as 8 degrees. The tower crew are called out. Over a mile downstream, a man has been spotted on scaffolding overhanging the river.
We have a launch time of 90 seconds, day or night. That's from the bell going, kitted up, ropes off, and engines in gear.
The crew push the 870 horsepower E-Class to maximum speed.
Time is critical. I've been on numerous jobs where we've been on scene before the person's jumped, and we've missed them. They've gone down 3 metres in front of us and never been seen again.
I've had people drown in front of me, 50, 100 metres away. I've seen someone in the water and we've been going to them at full speed, and before we've got there, that person's gone.
The tide is going out fast, and at this stage the crew have no idea of the man's intentions.
On the way to a job like that, you're imagining, you know, a fall from height. So I'm thinking it could be a spinal injury, what equipment we're going to use, how we're going to recover them, what the tide's doing, the dangers in that area.
The crew cover the mile in less than 3 minutes.
The thing was just unfolding as we arrived, and you could see the police boat was there, and they were sort of lighting up the scene a bit.
On the scaffolding building.
The police report that the man had been asked to leave a riverside pub. He's now clinging onto scaffolding over 30 feet above its beer garden.
Standing on the ledge, now trying to gain access to the 3rd floor.
Bill, did you get a searchlight? Arriving on scene, trying to locate the person. And I see sort of the corner of my eye, the security were pointing up to scaffolding on the side of the pub. And I was looking up and I see this figure. He's a long way up, 30, 40 foot in the air on the scaffold. The water was shallow, about 1 metre. There's like a scaffold pole sticking out there.
Sir, stay there.
You're thinking, if he goes down in that area, there is a good chance he's going to be impaled on that.
We board you. I don't think we've got step or board you on the side of it.
You can board us. Yeah, come alongside, jump on, yeah, we got visual.
The police want to approach the man to try and talk him down, but they can't reach him via the scaffolding, and their boat can't get under the building to the shore.
Where do you want to take you? Well, as close as you can get.
An officer boards the more manoeuvrable lifeboat to get in closer.
Yeah, and I'll keep on me deck.
We were limited in the position we were at to what we could do. We had the scaffold tube to one side where he obviously didn't want to hit that.
He's backing up and getting it good.
We had the concrete overhang of the beer garden to the other side. Then I also had to work out a distance if he was to fall where he would land, but be close enough that we could grab him as soon as possible.
Creeping into the riverbank, all the crew can do is prepare to react as fast as possible if the casualty falls or jumps.
You get that adrenaline of getting there and thinking what we're going to do, and then there can be a wait, and that wait can be longer and longer. The dynamics of the job can easily change, where they're moving, it's cold, there's a strong ebb tide. Every minute, everything's changing.
Sir, stay inside, there's someone on your right, someone on your left.
Suddenly, a resident emerges from a flat.
To your right!
You could see his startled look. You would never expect that in a million years. Someone literally stuck to the side of the wall of your flat at that height.
He's going in the flat!
He runs sort of out from his balcony around to his kitchen window, and he tried to coax the lad in.
And the Coast Guard, Roger. Someone from a flat is trying to get through their window. Stand by if he does go in.
The ledge must have been no more than 3 or 4 inches that he was balancing on.
Phil, if he goes with that side recovery. Stand by if he does go in.
Is that person going to get themselves to safety? Are they going to fall? Is it going to happen now in front of us?
He's coming.
Sail in water.
I remember saying to someone, here he comes. And it's in slow motion. You can almost hear him, and then you hear that splash.
The casualty has narrowly missed the scaffolding pole, but now the crew have just seconds to get him before he's swept down river in the darkness.
Come here, swim to me, give me your hand. Contact!
The boat was there within 3-4 seconds. We had hands on him, and then he was recovered into the lifeboat.
Gently, just gently with it.
Normally, we would have taken some greater care, let's say, at recovering them, but we didn't have the time for that. Purely where his location was, seconds later, we would have been swept underneath the overhang of the beer garden. It was 4 knots of tide on the ebb tide, and he would have gone underneath. There was no possibly have avoided it. So we had to choose, basically, get him in or let him drown.
Check over him, Phil, for any injuries. Okay. You wiggle your hand.
It's all right, it's all right, it's all right.
The other arm.
You're all right,
Don't move your head. Can you feel your feet? So, you can. We'll take you to the lifeboat station and we'll sort you out from there, okay? All right?
While the crew rush back to the lifeboat station, the resident who tried to intervene helps the police piece together the events of the night.
We were aware of flashing blue lights everywhere. Went out in the balcony and got a real shock to see a young guy hanging onto the side of our building just by our window, looking absolutely petrified. I started talking to him and tried to ask him whether he felt he could edge along the ledge a bit to get opposite the window we'd now opened. The next minute I knew he just went straight off backwards off the ledge and literally fell straight down. I just remember a huge noise when he hit the water and a yell. It was a frightening sound, to be honest. And they immediately pulled him out, and in what seemed just like seconds, that boat was gone. I guess it just reminds me what a great job the lifeboats do and how often people seem to get themselves in difficulty in the Thames, right in the middle of London.
Have you got any pain anywhere in your body?
Despite falling nearly 30 feet into a few meters of water, the casualty appears to be uninjured.
I expected him to have some serious spinal injuries, but by some miracle, by a few scratches and grazes, he was fine. Amazing. He fell off in the fetal position, backpack leading the way, went in the water. Because it was so shallow, I don't think he completely submerged all of his body at the time. I think he sort of rocked on his backpack under the water.
All right. How much you had to drink tonight? You've had quite a few, have you?
To fall from that height, to miss that scaffolding pole that was sticking out 6 foot away from you, and not to get swept under the pier, it could have been so much worse.
At the lifeboat station, the casualty was given the all clear and allowed to go.
He was staggeringly lucky. There were so many ways of him getting seriously injured, and he avoided them all, which was, I'm very pleased. We always want a positive outcome.
Salcombe Lifeboat Station's position over 2 miles up the Kingsbridge estuary shelters it from the worst of the Atlantic storms. But every time the crew is called out, they face a hidden danger, a large sandbank lying in the mouth of the estuary.
The Salcombe bar is very treacherous. I mean, crossing the bar can be one of the most hazardous things of our job. It takes a very skilled coxswain to get that boat in over there on a rough day.
The destructive power of the bar was brought home just before dawn on the morning of the 27th of October 1916, when the local crew launched to a wrecked schooner 4 miles along the coast.
This is the old lifeboat station, so they would have come out here, rolled her down and then pulled her out and rowed out to sea.
Volunteer James Cooper's great-grandfather was one of the 15 lifeboatmen who headed out in a force 9 gale that day.
But in those days, it was just open boat, sat down inside and rowing. It had no protection from the elements at all. Rain coming down on you, sea over the top. Yeah, pretty grim.
When the lifeboat reached the schooner, they discovered her sailors had already made it safely to shore. Returning home after 3 hours at sea in terrible conditions, and just a few hundred meters from the safety of the estuary, the lifeboat capsized in the huge surf breaking on the bar. Only 2 of the 15 lifeboatmen survived.
My great-grandfather was washed up on the rocks there, and they had to pull him back up, and then they carried him along the shore and back over to Rickham Farm. The boat was completely smashed to pieces, so there's bits of the boat which was recovered by other boats, and then the crew were scattered all over the place, and they weren't all found straight away. can't really comprehend how bad it must have been, because, you know, that's a lot of men from the town gone. You know, you take your hat off to them, you know, because that's, you know, that's some bravery. That's when, as they say, men were men, because they were, you know, different sort of breed, I think, in those days, different breed.
A clear March day. The Salcombe lifeboat is called to one of the most urgent emergencies at sea. 15 miles out in the English Channel, a boat is on fire.
When there's a fire on a fishing boat, it has to be a very fast launch, because life is definitely an immediate risk.
The Salcombe crew aim to launch their Tamar-class lifeboat in 9 minutes. Today they do it in 4.
Any boat that's got a fire on is a worst nightmare, you know, because normally you've got a load of fuel on board, you've got batteries, you've got electrical kit, and like an oven really, aren't you? Everything else is going to burn and you've got nowhere to go.
If that fire's not put out, they're all going to have to abandon ship, and then it could be a search and rescue, not just a rescue.
Even at top speed, it will take the crew up to an hour to cover the 15 miles to the boat. To make matters worse, a 20-mile-an-hour wind has whipped up a large swell.
The conditions when we were heading out to that boat were fairly choppy, and it got rougher and rougher as we approached them.
50 minutes after launching, the crew spot the stricken boat, the Pamela Jill. The fire is out, but the boat is now at the mercy of the sea.
The boat lost all power, so it was adrift. The waves were rocking her quite considerably from side to side. At points, you know, it was crashing into the swell, and, you know, there's plenty of spray going over the boat as well.
The fishing boat's skipper then radios in with some alarming news.
As we got closer, we received the information that one of the crew wasn't very well. So that made the decision for me. I had to put a casualty care trained crew member, Ian, on board the beam trawler.
But between Ian and the casualty stands the increasing swell, rolling the helpless trawler with every wave.
We asked the skipper to pull his beams in, but he couldn't, obviously, because the engine was down. The beams stick out at least 20 foot. That was going to be our main obstacle when getting alongside.
Ian has only one option: to jump from the bow of the lifeboat onto the deck of the heaving fishing boat.
There was quite a bit of height difference between the boats because they were pitching so much. One boat was rolling up while the other one was going down. It was quite an awkward crossing. One slip, you could be down between both boats crashing together. As soon as the skipper thought it was time to go, he would say, right, go now, and jump.
Before he can tend to the injured casualty, Ian must make sure the engine room fire is fully out.
You could see where the exhaust ran up through the wheelhouse of the boat, and it was encased in a steel case which was still glowing red, and the whole boat stunk of smoke. But I didn't want to get in there and start digging things open, because letting more air in could have caused that fire to start again.
The casualty is conscious, but after fighting the fire is suffering from severe smoke inhalation.
He was being violently sick. He was complaining of a headache and chest pains. We had to make sure he didn't have burns in his throat as well, because he had been very close to the fire.
They need to evacuate the casualty as fast as possible. But in these conditions, the crew can't get him on board the lifeboat. The only way to get him the 50 miles to hospital now is by helicopter.
What we had to do in the meantime was just get the fishing boat under tow, so get a tow line across, secure the tow line, and pull the fishing boat at the right speed and in the right direction for the helicopter to get the safest approach for the winchman.
The crew must tow the 260-ton dead weight of the trawler at a constant speed to give the winchman any chance of landing on it.
The helicopter arrived, took a couple of turns. I think they were sussing out what was going on. The boat was moving so much that they were just waiting and waiting and waiting until they got the hang of the movement, and then bang, he was down.
Within 90 seconds, the injured fisherman is being winched back up, ready for the flight to hospital.
Hats off to, the helicopter crew. It was pretty impressive, particularly with all that rigging still out, and the conditions.
Now the casualty is finally en route to hospital in Plymouth. The Salcombe lifeboat starts the long tow of the Pamela Jill back to shore.
There is relief when that happens, when they're in the helicopter and they're on the way to hospital. We turned around and towed the fishing vessel up towards Brixham.
49-year-old first mate Sean was treated for smoke inhalation and released from hospital the next day.
Was thick smoke, yeah. So I went outside to get my breath, obviously. And I ripped the rest down, extinguished the fire. They could have easily got out of hand with wooden steps, wood cupboards. It would have spread, yeah, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, my friend. Yeah, we was very, very lucky. Very lucky indeed.
If he hadn't gone into that fire and ripped all the cowling off and made a hole in that exhaust tunnel, that boat would have sunk. It would have burnt into the wood, and I think they would have gone down.
Over 400 miles away in the far northwest of Cumbria is the small community of Silloth. Their lifeboat station only had 10 call-outs last year.
If we start locally, the changes that are happening now is the main bank off of the slipway is moving down. That could cause a problem for us launching at low water.
Helm Steve is the most experienced crew member here, with 30 years volunteering under his belt.
Generally through the Solway, the tide gets up to about 4 knots, but up sort of past Annan, it's up to 10 knots, which is dangerous for anybody, even in a fast boat.
The Silloth patch covers the Solway Firth, an estuary leading out to the rough and unpredictable Irish Sea. It's infamous for fast tides and shifting sandbanks.
On a day like today, the Solway is beautiful. It's actually set in an area of outstanding natural beauty, and you can see why, but it hides the dangers. It's constantly changing, very dynamic. The sandbanks move, the channels move, the depth of the channels change. It is said that parts of the Solway, the tide comes in quicker than a man can run.
The sea can flood in at over 8 miles an hour off Silloth. The power of the water constantly shifting the local sandbanks, leaving large parts of the Solway uncharted.
I don't think anybody ever knows the Solway. You can catch anybody out. Anybody who thinks they know the Solway, they can be caught out.
A still February day. An emergency call comes in to Silloth Lifeboat Station. Within 6 minutes of being paged, the crew have their B-class inshore lifeboat on the water.
The only information that we had was that there was a lady trapped in her vehicle. She was about 6 miles down the coast, and we didn't know how far out she was.
A car, driven onto a local beach, has been swamped by the fast rising tide, trapping the driver.
At that point, we find out she's a non-swimmer. The sense of urgency goes through the roof.
Every job we get is time critical to a degree, but for a non-swimmer who ends up in the Solway with the tides there is, then seconds count.
To make matters worse, today is a spring tide, when water floods into the estuary at its fastest and hits its highest level, rising over 30 feet at a rate of 6 feet an hour.
The force of the water is going to be pushing the car, so the car is likely to be moving. Is she in the water? Is she still attached to the vehicle in some way? And you are hoping and praying you're going to be there in time.
Since the call came in, the waters in the Solway have already risen over 1.5 feet. Even at a top speed of 35 knots, the crew are struggling to beat the tide.
You just want to be there. You want time to fast forward and you to be there and you to spot this person and get them in the boat, but you can only go as fast as the boat will go.
And now they face another delay. Between them and the casualty lies one of the Solway's most treacherous stretches.
You don't want to be inside the shore side of Beckfoot Buoy. It's full of large and small rocks. Some of them are big van-sized.
The crew must navigate through the huge rocks just under the surface as fast as they dare.
Hitting these rocks or the boulders risks damage to our boat or the engines, and then we're no good to anybody. We need to go slowly, which you don't want to do. You want to be there.
Suddenly, just as they clear the rocks, they spot a figure in the water.
When she phoned the Coast Guard, the water was, up to the height of the window, and we got there 12 minutes, and the water was over and on the roof of the car. She was clinging on for a dear life.
It was just quite shocking how far she is off the coastline and how quickly the tide had come in.
When we got closer to the casualty, I actually recognised who the casualty was. Caroline's often on the beach. 9 times out of 10, she'll be with her husband, who is severely disabled.
The priority now is to find out if the casualty's husband is trapped in the submerged car.
I looked at Steve and said, "Shall I go in?" And he just gave me the nod, and I just went straight in. I got hold of the inside lip of the bonnet. The windows were open, so I'm giving the car a good sweep. I've got my arm right in as far as I could possibly go. I can feel the headrest of the front seat, the passenger seat. You are dreading the possibility of touching somebody. Was very, very, very pleased there wasn't anybody, and that was a big relief.
Having confirmed there's no one inside the vehicle, Andy swims the casualty back to the boat. As she's brought aboard, her car is completely engulfed by the tide.
If we'd got any later than we did, we would then be looking for a non-swimmer in the water. When we're talking about time-critical incidents, this was tight.
Caroline had driven onto the beach at low water searching for her lost dog. But as she tried to get back to shore, her car was caught on rocks.
The tide seemed to just come from nowhere, quite fast and furious it was, pouring in. I managed to dial 999 and they put me through to the Coast Guard, and she said to me, "Can you get out of the car?" I said, "Yeah, of course I can get out of the car." And when I tried to open the door to get out, I couldn't open the door. When I looked out of the window, water was up the side of the door. After I had said that to the lady, we got cut off. I thought the only thing I can do now is get myself onto that roof, and hopefully the tide won't go any higher than the roof before I got rescued. The vehicle was starting to sway backwards and forwards, and it was very slippery up there. It was hard maintaining my position on the roof. I took one last look round. Everything looked so huge. I was miles away from the shoreline and there was nobody. And that was at that point when I felt really all alone, nobody here. And I didn't think that we were going to make it. It had reached that point where I was going to have to hit the water. I felt as though I heard something, and when I looked around, I could see the lifeboat heading towards me, and I felt a real relief.
We know subsequently that she was ready to go into the water, over half a mile, tide running at 5 knots. A non-swimmer, no chance.
Minutes later, then it would have been a completely different outcome.
Caroline was treated for shock and hypothermia. Her missing dog made her own way safely back to shore.
I will be eternally and forever thankful to them all. If it wasn't for the split-second timing of those RNLI guys coming along at the right moment, because it was minutes really before things could have turned out to be a lot worse.
Back in Brixham, and after just 2 weeks laid up in harbour, the fire-damaged Pamela Jill is patched up and ready to set out to sea, with first mate Sean back on board.
She's back fishing again. All good, all healthy, and she lives to tell another tale. Stuff happens at sea, you just get on with it, you don't think about what's happened, you just think about where them blooming scallops are. I'll find you.
And 3 months after Joe pulled his dad unconscious from the water, the family are back on Anglesey.
Joe, good enough, isn't it?
But when we came here...
I know the tide was right in here.
The tide was right there.
I know it was. Doesn't seem very far away, and yet, when you're stuck on it, and you're a bit cold, it might as well be the moon, wouldn't it? You can't get back without help.
You're still not quite big enough yet, Joe.
We've booked a holiday in Croatia. We would tend to do quite a bit of kayaking, but the water's warm and we probably stay a little bit closer to the coast, eh?
Are we going to get into this vehicle somehow and find there's somebody stuck in there?
Any slight movement runs the risk of doing further damage.
Everybody was watching this woman kind of drowning in glorious technicolor.